What's going on, everyone? It's all about Counter Strike, turned into all about NQZ, the AWPer from Pain. We got him here with us. Thank you very much for
My
joining, my
pleasure,
man.
man. My pleasure.
It's good to have you with us. DevWalks online. I'm going to do this. I always do this at the beginning, NQZ. So right now for me, it is 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday, the 17th of June, which means it's actually Wednesday, the 18th of June for Devil Walk at 3:30 in the morning in Sweden, because we're
Yep.
all over the world right now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because always we look at DevWalk's background on his camera and it's so bright outside.
Yeah.
He's like this all the time. In Sweden, there's no darkness right
There's
now.
no darkness.
No.
There's no night in Sweden.
No,
No.
no, bro. He's just living like this. You bought blackout curtains recently, right?
No, not recently. I've always had in my bedroom, but I bought extra curtains for my balcony.
For the balcony, that was it.
Yeah, and put them up. But yeah, it's pretty much daylight right now
Yeah.
outside.
Now, you know what me and NQZ have been doing. NQZ has been qualifying for his first ever major playoffs. I've been just hosting, enjoying life, enjoying Austin. But I'll tell you
Yeah.
a fun fact. This man, he was just competing at Alan as well. He was just competing again.
Right now?
Yeah, he was just it was Glitch Masters in Sweden.
Yeah,
And he was still playing. He brought a little mixed team together. So we got to ask you about this, Devil Walk, because first of all, like Nip didn't do well at this event again.
Oh, Nip played this.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, like we can wait, so I'll
Fnatic,
bring this up.
NIP, Passions. There was Sangal was there.
I'm bringing it up on my iPad for
There were
NQZ to
some
be able
good
to
teams
see.
playing this tournament.
Exactly, because you know they're desperate for VRS points. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
When you played
VRS.
this tournament,
Well, no, I didn't qualify for the main tournament. I went to the Biok with Michael Lele, and three
You know what
young
Biok is, right?
Swedish
No,
kids.
actually.
Bring your own computer. It's like old school way of doing it.
Yeah.
So he traveled down.
Yeah, Rick's told me about that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
used
yeah.
to
Rick's would know.
travel with the computers and all that stuff, right?
Exactly.
But we we went didn't go that route. We actually got PCs from like the tournament itself and lent it
Well, that's good.
for the bring your own computer qualifier for a day. So I mean it went pretty good. I think considering the team we had and how we didn't we barely practiced. We practiced a couple of days for it.
Yeah.
So we had maybe maximum 2 rounds on each map. Like one on T and one on CT, and they just played around it. But we did actually manage to. We played Sangal in our last game, which was the one that if we won it, we would have qualified for the main tournament. Uh, we lost 16-6 or 13-6. I always say 16. It's ingrained in my
old
brain.
memory.
Yeah, old memories.
Yeah. But 13-6 on train we lost. Having a 6-3 lead on T side train. And then we lost new 13-10 against Sangal. So I'm pretty happy about that. That's still
that's not bad.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Considering Sangao is a really difficult team to play against.
You practice against them?
Yeah, we used to practice against them, and it's like deathmatch. The rounds they are over in 1 minute 30.
Really?
Yeah, they play so fast. The old lineup, I don't know the new one, but they have to be playing like this still. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean they played similar, but yeah, it felt good. I had the first game. I was absolute trash. I was like, "What the hell? What is happening?" It was but even though you're experienced, when it's so long ago you play the LAN game, you still get some nerves and you still get some jitters, but you can adjust to it more quickly. It's first game over, then we were back on track. So it was really fun, really really fun.
But I heard very good things about the event in general, like from other people saying how the event was put together really well. Pretty good prize pool. I know they had some big teams there anyway, but for a small event that's just rocking a LAN event, it's this is a good list of teams. This is a really good list of teams.
You got Fnatic, NIP, Passion Ukraine, Ecstatic 9.
Yep.
A lot of good teams. So yeah, it's impressive.
It was a fun event. I think they didn't really market it that much, even in Sweden, because I remember old Dream Hacks and stuff like that. You would kind of travel through the city, and there was posters and signs everywhere about it.
But that's a huge company in comparison to this is something new, right?
Yeah, but it's the old like DreamHack owner gangs. So
Okay,
I think they just, you know, they tried it out for a year and then, but I heard they're gonna do it for 4 more years. They got a contract at least, so they're gonna do the summer part. Yeah, for another 4 years. So we'll
that's
see if I
good.
That sounds
go
good.
there and practice a little bit more, and maybe
Yeah,
when I
make it
get
to the main
older, I
tournament,
can.
man. Get back on HLTV stats.
Yeah.
All right, from there, we don't have to touch too much on that, but it does sound like that was a good event. Passion UA, the Ukrainian boys, even with TC, the old complexity coach is coaching them. So
He's
they,
Yep.
coaching Passion
yeah.
Ukraine.
And
I
they
didn't
don't, they
knew
speak
about that.
Ukrainian in game or Ukrainian Russian in game.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't speak any of that. And he just coaches in
He
English.
gotta be absolutely lost during the game, right?
Exactly. There's no way, even if he's Duolingo learning,
You
he's not,
cannot
nah,
learn
exactly.
Ukrainian slash Russian in
Like that.
1 month.
Nope, not happening.
No, no, no.
But I want to get your opinion just on a couple more points before we get into all about NQZ because Valve removed the MRQs.
Yeah, for me, it's the second mistake they are making
Yeah.
because the first one, removing RMRs for me, they removed one of the
Oh,
best tournaments of the year.
yep.
Yep.
Because I don't know about the Europe scene, but in South America, everybody wanted to be able to play RMR and qualify to the RMR. And during the RMR, I remember all the time feeling that emotion of, for example, in my BR, Imperial, we have good friends there, but we
Yeah.
all stare at each other like, right now we are not friends.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And we all wanted to play these matches, and the feeling that you got when you qualified for the major through the RMR, it's a feeling like you earn it. Not that you don't earn it by the points, but being able to play a tournament that gives you actually the spot for the major was something really cool. And also that stuff, bringing up a good point, the first major that I qualified for, the Rio one,
Yeah.
the major was in Rio, but we went all the way to Sweden to play the
MRQ.
RMR.
Oh,
So
yeah.
for
RMR
me, I was really young and traveling to a new country, playing a tournament in this
RMRs for it.
yeah, this
Yeah.
RMR, like this amount of pressure in you was really really good. So I think that this was the first mistake, and now the MRQs, I feel like you lost all the chances that like small teams have to go to the majors.
And also, so we spoke about this on previous. So we had Ash, the coach of Gaming Legion, join us for an episode before, and we were saying how how the MRQs were online.
Yeah,
There was no hype. There was no passion.
absolutely.
People obviously can potentially cheat online compared to what they do in a LAN environment, right? On an
Yeah.
RMR. And it felt like we removed the RMRs. And I understand so many people complained publicly on podcasts, on everything, that taking the RMRs away and putting MRQs online was bad. But I don't think the correct response is then
Removing
remove the MRQs.
No.
Yeah.
No,
For
I
me,
mean,
it was just like Valve, you have so much money from the game, from opening cases. Just take a little bit of that budget and force the tournament organizer to do the MRQs on LAN.
Yeah,
yeah.
because you got a good point. You can talk that. Sorry.
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, I think even with the MRQs, you kind of killed the hype for it. You killed the emotions. You don't see people like when you qualified for Rio, like see the emotions in people and kind of get to know the people who are actually qualifying for the major. Now, it's it's like they made a shitty replacement and now they just killed everything because I mean
Yeah.
even the shitty replacement to some degree is better seeing the teams themselves videotape themselves qualifying for a major, and now it's just like kind of a ladder point system
Yep.
to directly qualify to the major just feels weird, because
Yeah.
as you say, like it was probably one of the most fun tournaments the entire year to watch. Even other tier one tournaments, I would probably rather watch on RMR than like an actual tier one event that wasn't the major.
Yeah.
Because there was so much about it. Like you saw new teams, how they're gonna challenge each other. There was always upsets. Nothing was for certain for anyone. You could see big teams being super nervous and feeling a lot of pressure in the RMRs, even more pressure compared to even being in the major.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it was a special tournament, and it's really sad to see it gone.
Yeah, you brought a perfect point. And also, other than the fact that the big teams sometimes struggle in RMR, you have like small teams going really, really well.
Yeah.
I remember like last year, 3 Max was not as good as they are today, and they went 3-0 in the Europe RMR. So everyone was like happy, you know. Not that they don't play well, but it's a really surprise.
Yeah.
And also simple with Falcons not qualifying. So
Yeah.
it was a period of the year that everyone wanted to watch and hype the tournament up, and a lot of good stories, a lot of happy stories, and also a lot of sad stories. So it
Yeah.
was a really, really important tournament of the year, and they removed it. So for me, it's nonsense.
It sucks. It really sucks. I hope that it's just a knee-jerk reaction from Valve, that they've just made a quick decision, and that then when we come into the major after Budapest, which should be Cologne, then there'll be another change of like
Yeah.
how they want to think about it. I'm guessing because if you think Budapest actually is going to happen so quickly, you know, where we have player break and how quickly the rest of this year will go, maybe this is their way. This is just in my mind of like, okay, we'll do a quick fix and then we'll wait and see what happens after that.
Let's see what happens next year.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
hopefully.
because yeah, but the thing for me is at a certain point is kind of fair that you have a team playing well all the year,
Mhm.
and because of that they went to the major. It's okay. It's a good
Yeah.
point. But at the same time, it was funny to see like a team going well all the year. Not funny, but it was curious to see a team going out well all the year, and they landed to the RMR is the most pressure where you have
Mhm.
Yeah.
to develop and you have to show up, and sometimes they didn't show up.
No.
So yeah, it's a cool tournament, and let's see what they do.
Let's see what happens in the future. Another thing to get your thoughts on as well is this was only announced today, I think, Devil, right? And it's the ESL DreamHack Knockout. And it says, this is from the press release, DreamHack Atlanta 2025 and DreamHack Stockholm 2025 will offer an open, in-person and direct pathway for every Counter-Strike 2 player, whether casual or pro, to earn a spot in the world's biggest CS2 league. It's the only CS2 league going right now, really, if you think of the top level. ESL Pro League. So you can have 32 teams at DreamHack Atlanta, 128 teams in Stockholm. This will be the bring your own computer thing again, where they can even get through to do it. Yeah. And that means we've got some open qualifiers with spots. So say you're just outside the invites for ESL Pro League.
Yeah.
You could go to one of
You
these
can
two
still go
events
to this tournament,
and grind your way through.
Yeah, this is really cool. And as I said,
Yeah.
it's a good shot for smaller teams and
Yes.
people that are starting right now or playing for a bit, but not that in that spotlight, to have a good chance to enter a huge tournament that is Pro League. So
Yeah.
I think this is a point they made it well.
And I heard, this is just not 100% confirmation from anywhere, but I heard in 2026 there will be more open qualifiers for teams to qualify to the bigger events.
Yeah, it has to be, right? Because removing MRQs, you can't go to the major.
No.
You can't have this.
You can't get points.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
get points. So people are going to start to play every tournament that they can to earn points, and this part is good.
You're gonna enter this Stockholm one?
But honestly, why not? I mean, I'm on the path right now with Michael Elliott. No, but I think this is exactly what like Counter Strike needs. I think it's one of those things like getting more people engaged, getting more people to even, you know, how otherwise are you gonna test your abilities or even have a trial run, even if you're not good and you're not expecting yourself to get into and get the slot, just participating in a local tournament or it's something that I think everyone has grown up with to some degree that's been a part of the esports world. So I think having the pressure, even playing against bigger teams like the NIPs or Fnatic, kind of show up and you get smashed by them. These are still like memories that people hold, as a young person getting into the business.
That's how you
And
became
something,
better.
yeah. So I think this is perfect. I think this is like, I was surprised when I saw it and I was like, damn, this is really nice. This is super cool.
Do you know what's funny though? You're gonna go to this DreamHack, qualify on LAN, and then play the first stage of ESL Pro League online, which is the only shit part of this whole thing that they recently took ESL Pro League.
But they
to be
made
on,
it the first stage of Pro League online.
First stage of Pro League is online, and then when you qualify the playoffs, it's on LAN, like in a better situation. I don't know the full details of it, but like Bro, you can't make them qualify LAN, play online, then go to LAN if they make playoffs.
I'm not really a fan of the online tournaments.
No.
That's because last year we played a lot of online tournaments. It's way better to play at LAN.
Yes, exactly.
10 times better.
I know it costs more money, and I know people struggle. I'm not going to say like ESL's done bad because everyone's trying to save money now. Teams, organizations, right? Valve itself, everyone's trying to be a bit smarter. But it's also like you've got the Premier League of Counter-Strike, and then you're playing the first part. Like, I guarantee you that Pro League, the first one online, is going to have some of those very top teams. They'll be on a boot camp somewhere. They'll be trying to play their best, but someone's going to fail massively because it's online and it's not like what they're used to.
You have all that connection stuff, connection problems, having to choose in which server you're going to play.
There's no admin with them to help them if something goes wrong. They got to do it themselves.
But I think honestly as well, like for some of these teams, I always thought it was you almost worse playing in a boot camp environment online than any other place. Like if you're playing, it is because imagine like in a boot camp, you're gonna have everyone yelling and screaming and shouting info. Mic settings not gonna be perfect and stuff like that. Comparably to like sitting online, you do get a better feeling and it's easier to learn and take in information and you're living and breathing Counter Strike. But I think for an actual match setting, boot camp isn't optimal at all.
Yeah, and that happened with us last year.
Really?
Yeah, we were in a freaking like 30 game win on Brazil streak, and we were always playing at home. Each person in his own home.
Okay.
And we went to the paint office and we lost our first match.
No.
So for us, it happened like this. It was better for us to everyone to stay at your home and play with your own settings, your chair, your desk. So it has a good point.
Is that why Big Azera is always telling me you guys like to go home for a little bit, practice online at home for a bit before you come to Europe and
because staying at home, it's really good. You are at your place, at your bedroom. So
family, friends nearby and stuff.
You feel like home. So
rest and recharge.
From some teams, and also for us, it was better to play at home.
All right, well, that's all the key points of the news we need to go over. Now we're going to get into a bit of the major into you because, bro, this is the stage 3 results we're going to review with you.
Yeah.
And you make it through 3-2, but the most impressive thing here is you were 0-2.
Yeah.
Your first day was really bad. Like, it was hard teams to go up against.
We did not play.
No, yeah, but it's like, you played what, Spirit first, right?
Play Spirit.
Yep.
Actually, Spirit played with us, so we didn't play with them. And also G2, we were completely right. So pretty shit that day, first day for us.
And honestly, you should have been able to beat G2. Like looking at it, right?
Before the match, we were really confident we can beat them.
I was confident. I'm like, okay, this is a G2, which is like a dead team. You know,
they're gonna make changes after the major.
Yeah,
so.
like, there's gonna be no problem. You guys were warmed up from the other stage. You guys knew what was happening, and then I was like, oh no, something's going wrong with Pain. This is not what I expected.
Yeah, they actually played really well.
Yeah.
They were playing solid CS. I thought for a moment they will qualify to the next stage.
They could have.
Playoffs.
They definitely could have.
After the Mongols game, I sad for them, but they were playing really good. So.
But you guys, right? Let's first talk about the Pain run because Devil, you got all the results there. Who they played?
Not all of them. No.
Let me get it all. Let me get it all here. Because the thing is for you guys, right? I know the run you had looks crazy, especially because it was 0-2. Yeah. But you didn't really have easy games, bro. You didn't have any easy games. So look at this run. You faced Spirit G2, then Namiga. It is a fighty team. Yeah. Then you take down 3D Max, and you had that insane comeback. Like, you should have lost one map at least against 3D Max.
Yeah. The thing is about the 3D Max game.
Yeah.
We practiced against them on Inferno.
Okay.
We were completely wrecked. So we knew they were going to pick Inferno. Mm-hmm. We tried to prep for it, but being honest, before the match, I was like, it's going to be tough. This one is going to be tough, and we have to play really well to win. And whenever we managed to win the Inferno, I was like, yeah, now maybe they're screwed because Nukes are pretty comfortable map for us. And of course, we lost pretty bad sometimes, but Nuke is a map that everyone likes. Bigu likes to call it. I like to play with the AWP, and all the team likes to play. But it started all wrong. We started like 3-0, and we were like 5v3 situation. And this is, for me, is like the rounds whenever you win a 3-0, in the way that we were winning, you practically go to a 5-0 and
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
minds are completely lost.
Yeah.
But whenever we lost the 3v5, they bounced back. I think the game turned like 9-3. So it was a really tough game for us. I think we lost a piece on CT side also, and they were playing really good. Uh, Props to Maka also, because he's a really annoying guy to play against,
Mhm.
because he's AWPer, but he's ultra aggressive, and also
Yeah.
I think by the fact he's the IGL, so he seeks for a lot of info.
Yeah.
And that's normal for IGL, but since he got the AWP, it's really annoying to predict his moves. But we managed to come back. And the thing is, can you open the match for me
Yes,
to
of
see
course,
something real
man.
quick?
You started 3-0 on the T side, and it was a
You wanna look at the new
8-4
form?
half.
Yeah, and that's the point, because we knew after Nuke we were gonna play Ancient if we lost Nuke, and
Okay.
we practice Ancient. We are, I'll not say pretty good, but we are playing it solid. But we are not that confident to play Ancient against them. So I think my mind and all the team's mind during the Nuke is we have to win this match,
Yeah.
because we are on City side. Nuke is a side that we like to play, and it's gonna be tough. But we cannot let ourselves not believe in it. And I think, I don't know if everyone feels like that, but for me, whenever we are losing like 11-4,
Mhm.
12-4, I'm not thinking about winning the match specifically. I'm just thinking about winning round by round, round by round, round by round.
Good
And whenever we get
mentality.
close to tying the match or winning the match, uh, the focus is the same.
Okay.
So I think this is a thing that helped us to make the comeback. And also the games were completely, uh, can I say, was madness against 3D Max, because they play so
But
fast, and also we play fast.
also, you had probably the worst mental start to that second half you can have, right?
Yeah.
Because you win the pistol, you get denied, and they start converting on that T side. Like, how is it for you guys? I mean, you're a pretty new team, but you all know each other. You played in the past with some of these guys. Uh, who is it that kind of grabs a hold of everyone and like, okay, put some belief into this? Because having an 11-5, you don't have the economy in order. You know that losing one round, it's pretty much over at this point. Who is the guy that kind of brings you all back? And
I think I have to say, uh, Snow.
yeah,
X
Really?
knows
Yeah,
him well,
yeah.
but every time that we win like one round, he's screaming and shouting and saying for us to believe. I think everyone believes that we can come back, but as you said, we lost some pretty bad rounds. I think
Mhm.
the second round we lost a 1v3 for exercise, so it's hard to keep the mindset in the right place in that times. But he's
yeah.
a guy that helps us a lot with his energy. He's always shouting, screaming, and hyping everyone. So whenever I make a good play, he says, "Thank you, nice play, big good play."
Okay, so this is
So
interesting. This is what I want to ask then about Snow, because we only see Caralho, but
yeah,
we don't hear the rest. Yeah.
yeah,
So people said that with Snow, oh, everyone wanted him. So many teams wanted to sign him. Wildcard wanted to sign him. You guys wanted to sign him. There was like a battle for him. Honestly, he's not been as hyped, like as in stat wise, as what I was expecting him to be, if I'm
yeah,
being fair. But when you say this, there's something he's adding more than just him shouting. Like he's
yeah,
positive to you guys.
yeah. He's positive to us, and that's the thing that
Even when he's playing bad.
even when he's playing bad, that's the most
Yeah,
impressive thing
that's
for me,
Yeah.
yeah.
because
And
even
he's a
when
kid still.
he's
He's still a
yeah,
kid.
he's just turned 18, but even when he's having a shit game, he's always shouting, he's always screaming.
Mhm.
And that thing is, for me, is one of the most important things, that whenever you make a good play, a good flash or
Yeah.
whatever, he makes sure that you know that you make a good stuff. So this is really important for me. And as you said, he was pretty hyped up last year,
Yeah.
but bringing his nose to the team was a thing that Bigu wanted. But back in the time, I told him, "Don't you think it's risky?" Because Snow
Yeah.
used to do completely different roles when he was hyped in Brazil,
Mhm.
and he was coming to a team that used to play a different
Yeah.
level of tournaments, because he was playing local tournaments in Brazil,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden we threw them at high M Cologne.
Yeah.
So, and also other than that, he was
I
like,
think I did his first English interview as well.
yeah, and he improved a lot.
Yeah, dude, he's did a hell of a lot.
Yeah, but he used to play like as an entry frag or playmaker, and we all of a sudden threw him like solo bomb and lurker. So it's normal for him to
Mm.
struggle to adapt, and
Yeah.
also adapting to role positions, role changings, and also a different tier of
Yeah.
level in the tournaments. So I think for me it's natural. I don't see any of his stats because he contributes to the team with way more things than fragging.
Yeah.
But he also frags well. He also has a good aim. But it's a mixture of all good things. I had nothing bad to say about Snow. So
That's good.
I think whenever people say bad things about him, they are really being unfair with him because he has a lot more impact than numbers will show.
Yeah, because I'd say like I don't think I see bad in him. I just see like when people hyped up all that potential in him,
Yeah.
he obviously now is in a position where he can't show as much of that potential. But also it's like I still want to see some moments from him where I'm like, okay, that's why, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's good to know that he's also helping despite his young age in a different way than even what I know. Because
Yeah.
all I see is the screaming and shouting. I don't know about these other little conversations. We
Yeah,
don't
but
hear that.
But I think he had
I've been
a
there.
really good start of the year, like with you guys. Like early days, I was into like being a Snow fan when you just started the year out. I think you looked like the most exciting team to watch personally. For me, I think we talked about it several times.
We
Where
said
like
it. Yeah.
Pain like looked amazing on the like eye test. You guys were, I don't know. I always explained it a little bit like you were like a Virtus plow. Like back in the days, they used to be like super. They could be super slow or super quick. But
Yeah.
when you guys were slow, once the action actually started, everything was chaos. You know, like you created so much pressure on the opponents that they just broke apart. And that's how I kind of felt like the early pain of this year played.
Yeah.
And then you kind of lost the groove a little bit towards the middle, but it was
Yeah.
super exciting to watch.
Yeah. We started the year good, but due to all of the misfortunes, we had to make a change on Cowes and play with standings, play with coach. So I think we
Yeah.
lost a lot of momentum there. We started the year beating FaZe. We played the Blast. We played what other tournament did we play? It was only the Blast.
You did Blast into Katowice?
Oh, Cluj-Napoca.
Cluj-Napoca,
We
you
went
did,
to the
yeah.
playoffs. So
And your
yeah,
first playoffs.
yeah, we started really good, but I think everyone felt a lot the fact that we didn't have a fifth player, and also Bigu being not able to travel with us.
Yeah.
Everyone was really sad at the moment. I remember being in Melbourne with David, and he was like, me and him all the day in the bed was like, bro, when this is gonna end, you know?
Yeah, when we're going to get some stability.
Yeah, so we went almost to the rock bottom, but we knew that at some point things will have to get better. We know that everyone in pain staff and all the players were doing their best to be able to come back to that good start of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as you said, we started the year pretty good. We were playing some good CS, but not consistently, I would say,
Yeah.
because
Fair.
as you said, we have to play a little bit fast sometimes, a little bit slow sometimes, but we are not being able to find that balance and knowing when to play fast, knowing when to play slow. And I think that's I would not say the most important thing, but one of the most important things to being able to beat those tier one teams.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well, we'll get on to more of like this year a little bit later. We'll finish off this major conversation because
Yeah.
your qualifying
Oh
game.
my god. This one was a rough one.
Dude, this was VP going from 2-0 on the opening day, you going from 0-2. Mirage was really solid. Yeah. Mirage, you had them. And then Inferno, I said it's you on the desk, right? By the way, Devwalk, if you looked, his opening stats for like just this stage was through the roof. Like at one point, you had 38 to like 18 in opening duels one, which is massive numbers. And you didn't even realize kind of what you were doing.
No.
You were the highest rated player for the team as well. I think you still ended the stage as the highest rated player for the team. But this Inferno, all those plays you like to make it be, everything you were trying to do, obviously you didn't have economy, so you weren't also buying the AWP as much, but you guys were getting shut down every time completely. But then I guess, how did it feel for you on looking at you've had that rough Inferno game, and then you have to come back on a Dust 2, which obviously you can do well on, but
Yeah,
it's also a great map for them.
yeah,
And you also know them on it, and you lost them already on this map before.
yeah. So for me, whenever Inferno ended, I realized that I played Mirage in a way and Inferno in the other way. I think that the reason that I played bad on Inferno, props to VP, they played really well, but I think that I struggle a lot with the mental side of things because I was thinking other stuff other than the match and what I want to do. Of course, as you said, game stuff, it's always happening to be bothering because I didn't have the AWP on CT side, for
Yeah.
example,
I
for
mean,
maybe
it's not a
2 3
great
rounds.
map for AWPers, if we're gonna be completely
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, yeah. It's a tough map for the AWPers, but I think during Inferno, I couldn't land a shot, and whenever had the chance to land those shots, I was not feeling comfortable, not thinking straight about the game. So whenever Inferno ended, I was just thinking, okay, one map is not going to define the good major run I'm doing and
Yeah.
all the major run that we are doing with the boys. So one last map is going to define if you go through or if you go home. And I didn't want to go home in that way
Yeah.
because I felt like I let down my teammates on Inferno, and not only because I did not frag, but being present for them, hyping them up, and
Yeah.
cheering for the rounds is a thing that I've done in Mirage, and I think it's a good reason why I played so well in Mirage. So I just started this two thinking it doesn't matter if I'm gonna kill 2 or 30, but I have to be present. I have to be here for my team, and I have to let them know that I'm here. I'm not giving up. It's not because we lost a map that we didn't even play well
Yeah.
that it's gonna be the end of the major for us. And I felt in that moment that we started to play those two that everyone wanted to win so bad because we have never been that close to go into a playoff. You take for example David and DGT. This is their first Legend stage ever.
Yeah.
So
You went 1-3 at the previous Legend
yeah,
stage,
we
right?
went 1-3 in Shanghai
Yep.
and 2-2 in Copenhagen. But being honest, in Copenhagen we faced Navi, and they were better all the match. We had chances, but they were better
Oh,
all the
that's when I
match.
gave Big Azaria's mouse. Well, my mouse.
Yeah,
I have a
but this
question.
match for yeah, do it.
So like going into this kinds of games now in this legend stage, knowing like all the stuff in the past, you didn't have that much time to get the team ready for this major. Do you feel like
Yeah.
you're going into these games with less pressure than what you would normally have? Do you feel
You
like
mean all
it's
the games?
easier to kind of, okay, we've done really well, maybe even overperformed to some degree. So going into however it ends, it's still a really, really good run. Like, do you feel that in the game, or do you still feel this like massive pressure that we have to like represent the region in some sense?
Being honest, I don't feel like we were in pressure because, as I said in the first interview of the major, due to the results that we have throughout the year, people
Yeah,
were not expecting shit from us, so we were not under pressure. And I think from one side, that was a thing that helped us, and it's pretty good to play with no pressure on you. But at the same time, I think that, and I know that everyone in the team didn't want to like go to the stage 3, the O3, and like, okay, that's a good run, nice try.
yeah,
Everyone knows that we can do better and we can go further, and we deserve the chance to be at the playoffs. So of course, whenever you lose, people are gonna say, okay, nice try, good run,
yeah.
but we all knew as players and Ricks as coach that we can go further and we have all the capability to go further. And the first day of major did not define us as a team.
Yeah.
So we were not under pressure, but we wanted really hard to go further.
All right,
That
cool.
was super impressive. Super impressive. And obviously the win for you guys, right, against VP, it's a huge one because it looked like you were going to throw. You had all the momentum in the first half, and then you come onto it with a lesser buy, lesser weapons. Other stuff hadn't been working.
Yeah.
You got a bit, I'm not saying lucky, but a bit lucky with just how that round played out, you know, where they came B right at the last part.
Yeah, they can be.
Yeah, they came B. I think it was someone at MP9 on top of the box
It was
just outside
David with
tunnels.
the MP9
The
and
MP9.
Bigu passed the smoke, and also I told him, Bigu, thank you for being alive this round, because I don't
Yeah.
think anyone in the team except from him will make that play.
Yeah, not in that stress and not in
Yeah,
that
not
pressure.
in that stress. I'm saying that because I would not do it. I wouldn't do
Was the
it.
confidence going lower at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, you must have, because
Absolutely.
you guys destroyed them and their mental was broken. And I honestly was looking at this like, I'm worried for you guys, because if it went to overtime, I'm gonna say this as your friend, I think you might have lost because they had the momentum and the
Yeah.
mentality. I know you guys were trying to have that hype and everything,
Yeah.
but it was getting scary at this point.
Competition stuff. But this is a curious fact I will tell you. In the early morning of that day, when Legacy lost, we all felt pain for Legacy because the way the loss was freaking sad. But we were having lunch with Fallen and the guys from Furia, and we were discussing exactly this, because he was saying to us that whenever you get to this spot, like 12-5, 12-4, a match away from the playoffs, it's impossible to your mind not think about, I'm there, I'm going to be there. It takes me like 1 minute to be there, you know? So I feel like everyone felt that whenever we were 12-5, 12-6, 12-7, 12-8, like we are getting close to losing this spot. So it's impossible not to think about it, but I think at some point you just have to, okay, I'm gonna sack the pressure and play with the pressure, because if you get stuck on this type of thoughts and feelings, you will end up losing. So I remember that he told me during the match. I was like, screw it.
Yeah.
We're gonna win this
That
shit.
was Fallen, right?
Yeah, that was Fallen.
So it's a really tough situation to be in, because I think you get into this situation as a player where I don't want to be the guy that makes the mistake. I don't want to be the person that fucks up, and that's everything. And it makes you play so much worse, because you're like falling back, letting them take all the space. They're just running the show.
You're playing not to lose.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the worst way to play Counter-Strike.
That's what Devil tells me not to do in our Facer games. When we're playing Facer together, I'm having a bad game. I don't talk. I'm sat back just trying to must just hold my position, and I'm not making the same moves I want to make.
Yeah, and this was exactly what happened with me in Inferno against VP.
Yeah.
I was playing not to win, but not to lose.
Yeah.
I'm not. I do not want to be the guy who's gonna be the first one to die, or
it's so real.
It's gonna be the first one to make a mistake. So it's the worst way to play, and probably will get you a lose. So yeah, it's tough. Competition stuff.
It really is. I'm just having it in my face again. You're doing it for a living. This is your whole job. But you did it.
Yeah.
You got through it. And do you know what was crazy? I said to you guys on the desk, there was times across the whole series where you or Bigu would stand up, yeah?
Yeah.
And then what would happen was, and you got to remember, Electronic is very stone cold, but he'll take that shit personally. So they're standing up, Devil Walk, and they're getting hyped up and ready. And then I'm looking across, and it's almost every time the next round they would win. It's like you gave him fuel.
Yeah.
You were giving him fire, man. He was coming back.
There are some certain players that you can shout at them because you're gonna give them full.
Yeah, because he wasn't shouting he was just shouting normally, but he wasn't shouting directly at you guys. Right? Yeah. Flammus was more doing that to you guys. Electronic was sat there taking your shit and then being like, okay,
wait for me.
Okay, wait for me. Oh man.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a cool moment. Whenever we play those matches, they are really hyped up, and the other team is shouting at us, and we are shouting at them. It's a really cool match to play because, it's all inside the server. Because outside the server, I have a tiny chat with the guys from VP, and they seem to be pretty cool, all of them. So it's a thing that stays inside the game, but during the match, it's really cool and it's really funny whenever you got those rounds and you stand up and you shout at them when Bigu did the Chris Redeemer pose,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool.
I think this might be. Well, I think this might be the most screamy major ever.
Trash talk major.
Yeah.
Trash talk major.
I don't know if it's a Brazilian influence or what it is, but everyone seems to be doing it.
I had to be without voice in the third day of the stage too. I was taking medicine,
Oh really?
For the throat. Yeah, for the throat and the pain, and I don't know how Dumal did not get throat.
Oh bro, he was just chilling.
Oh man, that is crazy.
He was the loudest,
bro. He was shouting since the stage 1 until the last day of the stage 3, and his voice was like, "Oh cool." I had no voice in the stage through.
Bro, I spoke to him when they lost, and he's just normal chatting,
Yeah,
no problems,
he was
everything's fine,
smiling.
everything's fine. Like he's just going through it, no voice pain. We'll look at some of the other games on stage 3. Pain was one of the teams that qualified. Looking at this though, Vitality, I think it's very sad they lost their win streak on a best of 1, but I also think it was the greatest kick in the face for a team possible on a major run, because you got slapped by Legacy, but then you just went, okay, no,
Yeah.
it's
This is
not
not
going.
gonna happen.
It's not going bad
Yeah.
like this. They then go through 3-1. No real surprises there.
Yeah.
Furia 3-0. That was a surprise.
I was surprised, but being honest, when they announced they were gonna bring Yakindar and Molodoi, I didn't know Molodoi really well, but Yakindar
Okay.
I knew it, and I always felt that when Fury removed Art from the team,
Yeah.
they were lacking someone aggressive. In the
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Of course, they had Cello, but I think bringing Yakindar is a more experienced guy
Mm-hmm.
and a guy that passed in European teams that they had a different way to approach the game
Yeah.
compared to Brazil teams. So whenever they announced the duo, I was like, okay, they're cooking.
Really?
Yeah, they're really cooking
When we
because
first saw it was announced, I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work. I don't know what's gonna go on with the English.
yeah. My main concern was the language team.
Yeah.
Because I know Yakindar speaks English, but I didn't know about Molodoi because
And he still doesn't speak. We can have a conversation, but he's not like perfect in it.
Yeah, and it takes time.
Your English is good, by the way.
Yeah,
Your English
You're
but
is
cooking.
amazing.
yeah, good to hear.
No, it really is. Like I didn't expect you to have like this good English. You're so young, and I mean Brazilians sometimes can struggle with it. I know if we're even talking about the Furia case, I think Yuri and Keiserato didn't talk that much English to start with.
Yeah,
It took them
Casey does a
quite a
bit
while.
better now. Yuri's getting there, I think. Right? I think it's a confidence thing with him.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think most of the Brazilians struggle with the part of actually speaking and also the accent because understanding you have like Snow. He doesn't speak perfectly English, but he understands everything.
But he's so confident. The thing I always said about
Yeah.
Snow is when he's doing an interview, even if he doesn't know what he's saying, he's never not confident. So sometimes he can just confidently talk through
Yeah.
whatever he wants to say, and he just like powers through.
Yeah, for me, the thing about languages is whenever you spend days having to speak a different language than your native one,
Yeah.
you're gonna get better.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, you're gonna get better. So whenever Furia announced them, I was like, okay, if they fix the language issue,
Mm-hmm.
they might be better than the old lineup.
Yeah.
And also a funny thing for me, being a Brazilian, Fallen giving up the AWP was something that was like okay. It's not that I found wrong,
Yeah.
but it's a huge moment of the history for us being
Yeah.
Brazilians because he's the main opera of Brazil.
Of
He's
course.
always been, and he's like the role model for every opera in Brazil. And seeing him playing as a rifler is just something that you could not get past without talking about it. So,
But don't you
No,
think
I
you're right?
agree.
It's like as he gets older, and he's realized he's not hitting shots like you. He's not hitting shots like Molodor. He's not hitting shots like Manasil's Ivory, right? He's like, he can have some good games with the AWP, but there is a limit because he's not got that same read, that same connection to the game like he had in CSGO. And he's also trying to IGL at the same time, which IGL open is hard as hell anyway. So it's like, I love the fact that it's kind of like a humble thing for him. Like, you know what? I'll give it to someone else. I'm going to work on this over here and make this magic happen.
But I think what kind of worried people as well is like you looked at Astralis, and just before this announcement happened, you had like a KD and a completely failed kind of project of
you
him
brought a good
going to
point.
the rifler.
Yeah.
So you're like, no, not again, you know?
Yeah, but I'm with you. I think it was a good move. It
Yeah.
was an
Yeah.
interesting move, but more of the story part of the move. You see Fallen, you always think about his all red line, doing some flaky shots and stuff like flashy like that. But it surprised everyone. But for me, they are playing well and they deserve it. So
Yeah,
And he's
they're
got a
playing
really good
so good.
read on the game. Like for me, the read he has right now is like, he has some timings where he'll push smokes, and it's not like someone just brainlessly doing something, like
yeah,
he's hearing things. You see it's impacting his calling, how he can tell people what to do and where to go from what he's doing. Like
But
People
he
don't
always had that
understand
even
right
as an
now how
AWPer, right? Like taking space. He wasn't afraid. He was always,
no.
you know,
I think he's enjoying this more as well because it's something
Yeah.
so refreshing, and you can see it a bit in his gameplay.
Yeah, I think sometimes in your career, I haven't been there yet, but
Yeah,
whenever you
you
get
got a few years to go.
yeah, but whenever you get older, you might need something new
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
you to light that spark inside of you.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a really cool stuff, and it's paying off for them. So it's really nice to see them.
Devil,
Yeah.
can you remember what we did for your pick'ems? By the way, did we put Liquid 03?
Yeah, of
I think
course
we
we
did.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. Did we do Liquid
You
G2?
guys put
Yeah.
Liquid Zero
I put
3?
Liquid and G2 on 03.
We put Liquid on G2. So we did this together, the episode before this, right? Where it's just me and him.
Yeah.
We did his pick'em, so we do his pick'ems together. And I just said to him, like, I just have this feeling that unless NAF pops off and comes back to some sort of form, they will completely fail. And damn, I was right out of nowhere. G2 we kind of messed up on, like
But
they
I
at
think
least
also, I
won.
think if Liquid were like in the stage 2 first and kind of grinded their way up into form a little bit, I think they could
Yeah.
have made it a lot better. But going straight into stage 3, being like one of the, well, let's be fair, they were the worst team even going into the tournament of the teams that were already at stage 3.
And that's, by the way, when there's like, oh yeah, the ones coming in, yeah, they were the worst of the new teams coming in stage 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
But for
like,
me,
mm, it's tough.
What do
It's
you
not
think?
like they're a bad team. I think it's just that they haven't had enough time and to play officials and learn the mistakes. They've had like 2 tournaments, I think.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But for me, that's the weird part because if you look at Liquid lineup, you got 5 guys that play really well,
yeah,
and they solved the problem of the IGL
Yeah.
thing with Twist, bringing
Shuhei.
Shuhi. So for me, it's weird. And in my pickums, I did not put them on 03 because they had a boot camp, and I was like, okay, they maybe can play solid CS because they have the players to do it. But whenever I saw them going out like this, I was like, something weird is happening, because you have Nerds, he's
Oh,
really
he's
really
so
good.
good.
yeah, they have
You
really
have
good
Twist, you have
players.
Shuhi, and Ultimate. I think he
Yeah.
kind of leveled off a little bit, but
Yeah.
when he started, he was a complete beast,
Yeah.
and he was doing stuff that none of the actual Alpers were doing.
He's gonna need some time to find his confidence again.
Yeah, but for me, Liquid stuff, it's weird. I don't know, maybe more time for them because I don't think they have to change the lineup for having good results. But
Well, they might need to change the lineup because of this whole Valve thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
they might want to be
back
Americans
to North
still.
America. So
Yeah,
that might mean they
I'm
have
curious
to.
to see who will they bring if they change the lineup.
I got to tell Dev what this, right? So on my own pick'ems, I had Liquid 03 as well. But guess what? When I saw, because after the podcast, it announced that Shuhei's being like full-time IGL, joining the team.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, on my own, I'm going to take them out. They won't. I didn't put them going through, but I didn't have them 03 because I thought, okay, they must have cooked something. So I cooked my own pick'ems by taking them out of 03.
Yeah.
Oh, I did myself so dirty, man.
Yeah, and another surprise for me, being honest, is Aurora.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I did not expect them going out 1-3,
no.
especially because of the year they had.
Yep.
They were like finalists in the first time of the year, and
And they
Playoff
had a
pretty much
boot camp before
everything.
this as well.
yeah, they played every tournament. They went further in every tournament. They were playing good, and they have actual good players with Kadia, Zantares, Woxic, the new guy Jordan also plays well, and
Yep.
Major for me
Yeah.
is one of the best IGLs we have right now. So for me, it was really weird seeing them going out like this. I haven't seen who they played against, but for me, it was
They played
they played Furia.
Face, Furia, and then they went to play G2, which they
So
lost. This is
they
probably
lost
the
That
game.
loss to G2 for me is the
Yeah.
weird one.
That was a
Yeah.
16, 13-4. 13-4, I think that was.
Yeah,
Because
for me,
you can
this was
definitely
the weird
excuse
one.
like the Mouse loss.
Yeah.
Mouse is a great team, so losing to them is not like an issue at all. And Furia, I mean, Furia has been playing great lately.
Yeah, we touched on that.
Yeah.
I think, you know what? So where you say about Aurora, and that was like a surprise, the Mouse one is impressive as well because they were 0-2 with you
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they still grinded it back up. But their run arguably was harder than yours because they had
Absolutely.
Liquid, yeah.
Absolutely.
Then they had Aurora, and then they had Legacy, who obviously Legacy were hyped as hell, right?
Yeah.
And every game Mouse played was they could have lost. You know, it wasn't like they just did a vitality and smashed teams on their way.
It
Like
was tough matches.
I
They
but
had to
every
I
come
time.
back
thought
against
I thought
Legacy.
Liquid was gonna win. Like I was
Yeah,
watching that
me
Yeah.
game.
too. Especially in the third map, Ultimate was killing like 1,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a tough road for Mouse. And when you see the stats from the game against Legacy, you think they lost the
Yeah.
match. But yeah, well played from Mouse in a really rough path for them. But it's also a surprise for me if they did not went to the playoffs because they
Boy.
are for us they are our kryptonite. I can say
Okay, yeah.
we can't win against Mouse. We have
Wow.
to still beat them sometime, but they are a tough team to play against. And for me, it surprised me they went 0-2. But at some point, I was thinking, okay, they probably gonna make it because now they have a easier path and they are totally capable of doing because their
Yeah.
team is pretty solid right now.
Who else we need to we got to talk about FaZe because this phase was living the dream. Simple was not. I'm not gonna say prime Simple, but he's starting to look like he's back in many ways. Like already, stage two was good, but now doing it against better opposition. The win they had against Mongols as well. Like it was kind of close on Ancient. They had that huge comeback of T rounds, like
Yeah.
round after round on the T side. They just found the flow state. And by the way, I did the interview with Simple, like the winners interview, and he was just happy with joy, and this is a player who's won a major, who's won all the biggest events, who's been the best player in the world over and over again, and he's that excited. That
Yeah,
says a lot.
that's pretty cool. And also the fact that he joined such a legendary team with legendary players
Yeah.
is, I think, is the whole storyline is pretty cool for them right now. And I think everyone in the world wants to see Simple play again, and
Yeah.
everyone is really hyped up to see him playing happy and playing well also because he was
Yeah.
playing really well. Of course, we can't compare him to like 2021, but
No.
he's getting there, and it's really cool to see them advance in the way that they did advance because they picked up tough matches.
Yeah.
They
Really
had tough
matches.
matches,
They got
but they
revenge
looked
against
comfortable
Legacy.
as well. I think, and
Yeah.
and talking about Simple, I think it's just like every time I saw him in a clutch, I felt like it was prime Simple. I think it's only like the early rounds or sometimes the mid rounds where he was struggling a little bit, but every single clutch, I don't even know if he lost a clutch. It felt like he won every single clutch.
Yeah, and the cool thing for me is even though he was away like for 6 months or 1 year.
It was a year. It was a
Yeah,
year,
it was a
bro.
year, but he came back playing right now. He's playing a fucking major, and his screen, the way he moves on the map is still the same. He's
Yep.
still aggressive. He's
Mhm.
still making flashy shots, and it's really
Still
cool
that
to
crazy
see.
flick in his.
Yeah, all the shots that he hits is like,
Yeah.
Don't share a
so it's
table
really
with
cool to see
Simple
him.
when he's shooting. It's
Yeah.
Do you know what's wild as well?
Yeah.
He hadn't been in a major playoffs since Rio
Since
2022
Rio.
because they
Okay.
missed it in Paris. And then
oh.
when it came to CS2, he was already taking time off and Wonderful came in on Navi.
Oh, he did not play Shanghai, right?
No. Remember, he did with the Falcons, but he didn't make
Oh,
it
he
through.
didn't qualify.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a long time.
So it's
It's a
been 3
long time.
years since he was in a playoffs of a major.
Yeah, it's really cool for him.
That's a big
And
move.
yeah, who else we gotta talk? Navi for me, they are under the spotlight, but for me, they are always a solid team.
Yeah,
Of course, they fell down a little bit, but they still made it and made it convincingly. And I think I have really good players and play against them and stuff to play. So
they got a tough
deserved.
matchup though for the playoffs. They
Dude,
play in
Yeah, they
Vitality.
But
play
they
Vitality
were
first.
close to also losing against G2 and
The
G2
G2,
qualifying.
yeah,
That was a
Yeah.
really close game. But
Yeah.
I thought they would like narrowly make it, which is kind of what they did, I guess. Um, in that 3-1, 3-2 bracket, I probably thought they would went 3-2, but yeah, they're looking a lot better than what they've done in recent tournaments, Navi. And
definitely.
I think they're probably in a situation as well, kind of maybe like you guys, like where you go into the playoff now, you don't have that much pressure on you. You're not like you can just enjoy the moment, enjoy the game, and just play your stuff and see where it takes you instead of like, we have to, and
We have to go to the playoffs.
yeah.
We have to go further. Yeah.
So I think they're probably in a good position where, playing as an underdog is always a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And they are
Definitely.
a team that is super capable of winning the whole major. So
Yeah.
Oh, you still think that?
Navi,
Yeah.
yeah, I do think, and also the upper bracket, we are in the lower one.
Yeah.
Not disrespecting any of the teams that we are facing, but the upper bracket is like tough one. It's a tough one. It's
It
a
is.
tough one, and it's gonna be a
It's a brawl.
yeah, it's gonna be a brawl there because for me as an example, Vitality and Navi they're gonna face each other, right?
So Vitality, Navi, Spirit, Mouse, you
Yeah.
guys, Furia,
Face
and
Mongols.
then FaZe Mongols.
Yeah, you take our example, Vitality Navi. I think of course Vitality are the favorite ones, but major playoff, I don't see as
It goes out the window. It goes out the
yeah, it's
window.
not a big enough an upset to Navi to beat Vitality. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
a fun one to watch and also a fun one to play.
All right.
It's
Well, we've
probably
done
the
a lot of
worst.
review.
It's probably the worst teams they could have on their side of the bracket for Vitality. So
Yeah.
I think
But
one
that's what
thing that
happens
is
when you don't go
cool.
3-0.
It's cool to mention that one of you guys, Furia, FaZe, or Mongols, are gonna be in the grand final.
Yeah.
That's gonna be super, super cool.
Imagine.
First playoffs.
Yeah.
Grand final run.
Don't think about it yet. One game at a time.
Yeah.
One round at a time, one game at a time. We know how it is.
Yeah.
All right. I will say then, from this point, we've done obviously looking at stage 3. Thank you for your thoughts on everything NQZ. Now, all about Counter-Strike becomes all about NQZ for real.
Yeah.
So, me and Dev will be doing our research and we're going through some things here. First thing we got to ask is Alma, like, was that the first professional team? Does that count as a professional team?
Yeah, it was the first professional team. I remember I joined them when I was 14. And
14.
14, it was a really fun process because back in the days I was still in school.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine used to play in this team, and all of a sudden they benched him. And I had like ZMB added on Steam, and I was like, maybe I'll text him and give it a try. Like, don't you guys want to test me? And he said yes. And I remember it was like 10 p.m. I had class on the next day, and I was playing with my life on the test. We were playing in the garage, and my mom was at the door of the room, like, people, Lucas, you have to sleep. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Oh, really?
And I was like, Mom, just give me 1 second, 1 second, please. And I joined them, and we played a few tournaments, online tournaments back in the days, but we managed in the end of the 2019 to qualify for the biggest tournament in Brazil that we had. So we had Pain, we had like who else? Isurus that become Bestia right now. So a lot of big teams, and for me, I have never played against any of those players. So for me, it was a huge.
And you're 14.
Yeah, 14. It was a huge shot for me to be playing against the best. And I remember we played the qualifier, and we were like, we have 4 teams in the qualifier, and ours was the worst one. Nobody was expecting us to win the qualify, and we make it. And I remember I was just screaming, and I told my mom, I'm going to live in Sao Paulo. It's because the tournament was a LAN one. And she was like, okay, for how many days are you going to stay away? And I was like, I'm going to live there. And we
At 14, you said you're
at
gonna live there.
14.
Wow.
Hey, you're brave because my parents would beat the shit out of me.
No, yeah.
If I ever said that.
And
14?
we spent like 2 weeks arguing with
Oh
each
my
other.
God.
Like, she was like, you're not going. And
Yeah,
I
of
was
course.
like, if I'm not going, I will not make anything in my life. I was like a little, how can I say, disturbing young guy.
Yeah.
I just wanted so bad to travel and play the tournament. And at the end, she let me go. And this was my first team and the first experience that I have actually on land. But back in this team, I was the rifler. I was
Okay, before the AWPer days.
yeah, I was actually an entry fragger, and I spent like, I think, maybe a year or 6 months in this team. And it was my first experience, so I have pretty good memories about this team. I was really young, so
Were you paid to play?
I paid to play.
Like, were you paid to be a player on the team?
Yeah, I was paid. My first salary was like, today it's gotta be $100.
But you $100 and you moved to Sao Paulo.
Yeah,
How did you move to Sao Paulo on
but
$100?
they were paying everything for me,
Okay.
including these times were rough because I had to study while playing. And I
Oh, so you
remember,
went to a school in Sao Paulo
yeah,
as
I went
well?
to a school in Sao Paulo, and I
Woo!
remember I was like the first student to be picked up and the last one to be dropped off. So I have to wake up like
Oh, like on a
5,
school bus?
yeah, on the school
Yeah,
bus.
yeah, yeah.
So I have to wake up like 5 a.m. and I was dropped off at the gaming house that we had in the time at like 1 p.m. and the practice started like 2 p.m. So I had
School
to,
wasn't that long though then. Your hours of school not crazy.
yeah, it was really crazy, but it was a small city,
So,
but
so a school in our countries starts at like 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. What was
y-
your school time?
it was 6 a.m. until maybe midday.
Okay, so like 12.
Yeah,
Well,
12.
that's a crazy ass time to have you kids awake at 6 a.m., bro.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember I had to get to the gaming house, I have to have lunch, I have
Yeah.
to get some sleep because I was dying of tired.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
after that I have to practice for like 5 maps, 6 maps. And I remember in the
Jeez.
pauses of the practice, I was going to do homework for the school. So it
Wow.
was a really crazy time of my life, but then COVID arrived
Yeah.
and I moved back to my home.
Wow. Okay, so wait a sec. So your parents eventually agreed with this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
eventually.
Did they support you in the game and stuff before? Did they understand you wanted to be a professional, or did they not really understand?
The start, no, because as a mother, as a father, you see your kid. I was 14 at the time,
Yep.
and I was not getting paid well, but it was normal for the time. And my mom's main concerning was, okay, you can play, you can do whatever you want about playing, but you have to finish school and you have to pursue a regular life in school.
Hmm.
But she didn't have the knowledge that you can actually live from this.
Yeah.
So it took me a little while to show her that, okay, I can live with this, I can make a life gaming. So at this time, she supported me,
Yep.
but at the same time, she was like, "You're not going to drop school. You're going to finish your school, and after that, you decide what you're going to do. But
Yeah.
until there, you stay studying."
And you got your dad as well at the same time? Yeah?
Yeah.
Your dad's in your life, your mum's in your life.
No, actually, my dad is not my life.
Okay.
He's alive, he's
Good.
well,
Good.
but
Yeah.
I do not have contact with him. So back in the days, my mom, she was the one who was more present in my
Yeah.
life, and she was taking all the decisions for me. So for her, since I started playing CS when I was 5,
Yeah.
she always knew that I loved the game, but she didn't expect me to become a pro, and
Of course.
it was a fun time. It was a tough one because I have to convince her that, okay, this is what I want for my life.
This is crazy as well, because obviously we hear a lot about like the family stories with it, and you were so young. Like it's hard for some 16, 17-year-olds to convince their parents. You're
Yeah.
14 at the time,
Yeah.
and you moved to a different city. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have one brother.
Older?
He's older than me, and one sister who's younger than me. But my brother, I spent my whole childhood playing CS Soares with him, playing games like
Okay.
Left 4 Dead,
Yep.
DayZ. We used to be gamers, but at some point, I started playing only CS, and he did not. I actually thought that he was going to follow the same route that I have.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
What's the age gap? How old is he?
he's 4 years older.
Okay.
So he back in the times I was like 8 years, 7 years playing CS with
Yeah.
him, and he was 4 years older, so he was way better than me. And I always thought that maybe he wanted the same thing as me, but he did not. But I spent my whole childhood playing with him, and like today he watches all my games and supports me a lot. So
Nice.
How common is it? Because you mentioned you were in school, right? And you had a schoolmate who was in this team, or uh, so how common was it for people to maybe play as young as you? Did you have like people in your school, in your class that were the same age that actually played Counter Strike at the time?
actually, it was not that common. So I had like one or two friends from my hometown that played, and back in the days, I was so shy to tell people what I really do in my
Like, yeah,
life,
yeah,
why I'm in other city, because for me it was something like That's not a common thing. They're gonna think that I'm weird. And back in
Yeah.
the days, it was a concern of mine being a young teenager.
Yeah, you don't want anyone thinking that.
Yeah, I don't want
It was the
anyone
same when I was
knowing what I'm
playing.
doing here.
Yeah, we've all been through that.
Yeah, so when I was a teenager, I was like, I'm gonna do my own stuff. If they ask me, I do play, but I only like to play and all that shit. But at a certain time, I told close friends of mine in São Paulo that I am actually a pro, and they reacted way better than I was expecting. They started acting with me like I was a superstar, and it was the first time that I actually had a good feeling talking about the people that I played. I love
Yeah.
to play. I'm a gamer actually. So yeah, it was really cool.
That's awesome, man. And we look back, maybe you can tell us if we're wrong or right, but we found what we think is your
I,
first
I don't
HLTV
have a good
game.
track record
Yeah.
of finding this.
It was against Keed Stars.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's correct.
Yeah, we have some famous names of Brazil there.
Yep.
ZQK, he played with Fallen.
Yep.
Showtime also.
Yep.
And the other ones, I don't know if you know
But
them,
do you know
but
do you know what's crazy?
I
I'll
know
tell you this.
Killjoy.
On your team, I don't know a single person other than you.
yeah.
There's no one else on this team that I know.
Yeah.
You've got ZMB,
ZMB played for Fury Academy,
Pain
Raul
King,
also, and now Raul,
Rel,
he's the assistant coach from the Fluxo Demons.
Danviet.
Done
Oh.
yet, I don't think he plays anymore, and Banking not also, but yeah, they are known guys in the Brazil scene,
Mhm.
but outside, I don't think
Not so much.
you're not gonna know them.
Okay, but so this is your first time on a team. You even had a gaming house back then at this young.
Yeah,
You obviously got to learn a lot and go
Yeah.
through it all. And then I'm going to skip through a few teams because we don't need to go through like so much of each and every team you went for.
yeah.
Would you say Daytona's the next notable one?
Daytona is a notable one because it was the first time that I actually won a big tournament in Brazil.
Nice.
And I think you guys know Nak from
Yeah.
MRBR.
Yeah, absolutely.
We won the last tournament of his career as a player, and I won with him. So it was a really cool moment. And also, if you notice, we have Zevi here. So I
Yeah.
actually was the rifler when Zevi was the AWPer.
And you got Cowards there.
And Carl is also a good friend of mine, an old friend of mine. But it was really special for me because Nak is a legend in Brazil.
Yeah.
Back in the 1.6 days, and having the pleasure to win his last tournament of his career with him was really cool. But whenever we won this tournament, and he told us, "I'm gonna retire, guys," and Zevi and Pidia left, we were just like me, Kawis, and Rix left in the team.
Rix.
Yeah, Rix was our coach in the
Okay.
time. So
Was Rix even the coach when Nak was there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
you had an early relationship
yeah,
with
with
Rix.
Kawis and Rix. So whenever those three guys left, I was like, okay, we have the option to call a Brazilian AWPer,
Mhm.
or maybe, I can become the AWPer. And I was talking with Rix back in the day, and I was like, I have this willing, I have this feeling that I can be a good AWPer, Rix.
But
Do
did you
trust me?
used to like be like the hobby author, so to speak? Like you would pick it up sometimes when you had good money and like I'm just gonna play it. Yeah. You were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the days with Zevi, I was always playing double op, and it was always like, at some point, this guy is gonna become the AWPer because he's always playing with the op. So I was more of a hybrid rifler because I wanted so bad to become AWPer. And for me, there was no better moment than this one because we are actually with two players, one
Mhm.
coach, and we can solve the AWP problem with me.
Yep.
So this was a very important moment in my life because for me, until today, was a better decision that I made in my life.
It seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, because I always play with the AWP whenever I wasn't a pro player, and I always loved to play it. But when I became a pro, I have to give it up because I don't know if it happens in Europe, but in Brazil, oftentimes you are called for the team, but you are not called for the role that you do. The same that happened with Snow.
Mhm.
So I have to give up the op so I can join a professional team. I was like, okay, I want to be a pro, so whatever the op.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, but some years passed, and I was like, I want to come back being opera, and this time was a one.
Did you want to be an AWPer from like the inspiration of Fallen and stuff like that? Because I hear from a lot of Brazilian AWPers, they're like, "Oh, I seen what Fallen done. I want to have that. I want to do these highlights."
Yeah, I cannot say that I'm not inspired by Fallen, but The thing is, I started to watch Pro CS in a time that they have already passed the time that they won everything.
Yep.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
remember the first major that I watched was the Astralis one in 2017.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Atlanta.
yeah,
Yeah.
Atlanta, yes. And for me, I started focusing a lot in the Vice. So I saw him
Mm.
playing, and I was like, this guy plays really well.
Yeah.
And this was a turning point for me because he became a role model. And as you said, Fallen, he has a lot of good plays and is an amazing player. But I did not see myself playing as he used to play,
Different
because
style
he
of
was
Warper.
so aggressive. He was a lot of times doing all that flashy stuff, and I was like looking at the device, and I want to be like this guy.
Yeah.
You know, the cool guy that his shots, and he can always be trusted. Not that Fallen couldn't, but the Vice, it seemed to me like he was a annoying guy to play against and a solid guy
Yeah.
Very
to have in the
annoying.
team. Yeah. So yeah.
And
That's really
then if we
cool.
go, and then if we go from here, right? Because I'm trying to get us further to a more recent time.
Yeah.
Will you go through some changes? So you get benched in Daytona.
Yeah.
You go to B4, but it lasts just a few months. How do you end up on 9Z? Because I feel like this is where we start to get to like a more notable team, right? And more notable organization.
Yeah. What happened is when I was in the tournament, I was benched. I
Mhm.
had some good offers from, I remember back in the time MRPR called me
Oh, whoa.
to play like the Blast Showdown. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
an international tournament. And I was 16 and I was like, oh my God, I play a Blast with 16.
Yeah.
But due to some problems, I ended up in B4. And for me, it was really frustrating because I had offers to be outside Brazil and ended up in the Brazilian team playing in Brazil.
When you say outside Brazil, what do you mean?
Like
To
international.
practice in Europe and having boot camps and play
Okay.
international.
Yeah.
So this time in B4 for me was a time that I used to, okay, now I'm gonna fucking destroy everyone in Brazil because I really don't want to be here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like
But you wanted to be on a Brazilian team?
I wanted to be a Brazilian team, but competing outside,
Competing, I was
you
like, no, I
know,
get you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because not being egocentric, but I felt that this time I was a level above the people in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted to test myself in Europe.
You need to have that belief, though. That's good. You should.
Yeah. So that's when the offer from 9Z came, and I was really surprised because whenever the before owner told me that a team made an offer
Mm-hmm.
for him, I was like, okay, maybe it's a Brazilian team, maybe it's MIBR again.
Yeah, yeah.
But it ended up to be 9Z, and I was really shocked because uh, our analyst is TGE. I think you know him. He
Yes.
was
Yeah.
previous coach from 9Z, and also Zach were there. So I had two Brazilians that I know, but inside the server, I'm speaking Spanish with four guys that don't speak Portuguese. Max lived in Brazil. David played in Brazilian teams, but
Yeah.
they told me in the first day of practice that okay, we know that you are Brazilian, you know that you speak Portuguese, but here we want to have Spanish as our main language. So we're gonna help you to get to this point.
Did you know Spanish at all?
The thing is, I learned Spanish in school, but it was like pretty standard Spanish
Okay.
classes. So
How is
it's
it in Brazil? Is it like Portuguese first language, Spanish second language?
Portuguese language, and at specific places you have the opportunity to learn Spanish. So at my
Okay.
school we had English and Spanish, but it's way different learning at school to
Yeah.
having to live every day with persons that actually speak Spanish and they have
Mm-hmm.
their own accents. So I
Yeah.
remember when I joined 9Z, we had Rox. He was our entry fragger, and he's from Argentina, and I couldn't understand a single word that he was talking. So we were like 2v2 situations, me and Rox. I didn't understand nothing. He could be saying like kill yourself. I was like yes, yes, because I couldn't understand a single word. So at the beginning for me it was really tough, and I remember in the start of 9Z I was only talking Portuguese
Yeah.
because I didn't have the habit of speaking Spanish. But whenever the time passed, I was really all day trying to learn how can I say what I want to say, how can I say what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a funny thing because it was a thing that I used to communicate way less than I communicate today.
Yeah.
Because since I didn't know that much of Spanish, I used to stay more quiet and only saying specific things whenever I needed to say. Of course, some Portuguese used to come, and also David, he used to speak Portuguese in that days.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a really fun time for me, and was a really cool process because I speak Portuguese playing CS my whole life, and all of a sudden I was playing Tier 1. Was my first tournament Tier 1. We play, I think it was the Rubit. We played the Major. We played the RMR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all those tournaments, huge tournaments for me because I have never played.
And how old are you now?
I was 17.
17, so you're still not even 18.
Yeah, I was 19 in IMZ, and I remember the first flight that I had to Europe. I was going to Belgrade,
Yeah.
and I couldn't even have 1 minute of sleep in the air, in the plane because I was so anxious. I wanted so bad to arrive in Serbia and play.
Yeah.
So for me, it was one of the best moments in my career because we passed through a lot together, and mostly good moments. My first major qualifying, and we managed to play in front of the home crowd in Brazil. And it was a mixture of feelings because I remember Brazilian crowd was supporting us really, really, really well
Okay.
because we had a Brazilian team. But I remember playing against Imperial, Fallen's Imperial,
Yeah.
and whenever we won the match, I remember I stood up and do like this for the crowd, and it was the worst
No.
decision that I made because next day people were in my Twitter like, "Bro, you're Judas. You betrayed our own country," and I was like, "No, I
Whoa.
was 17 and I was like really, really afraid."
Yeah.
And it was a mixture of feelings, but playing in Brazil was completely amazing. So 9Z, I have only good feelings and only good memories about them.
I feel like
Damn.
nine C during that time as well kind of came out of nowhere and started actually making an impact so quickly on the international level. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
still like tired, so my eyes aren't really there. Uh, but yeah, I remember you guys being a super exciting team to watch because you played this like really slow encroaching style that was very controlled. Uh, remember Mirages specifically, you could creep up, poke a little bit, and the execute would come behind it when you needed. Um,
yeah,
and you played like a different style of CS, I would say, to European teams. That was very controlled. Really good utility usage in that team. I remember, super good. It's what was a really fun team to watch, and you could even learn some stuff from. It's like when you play a team that you're good at executes, you can poke, you can do all of these different things, and you do them well, and you feel comfortable doing it. It's really annoying to play against because you don't really know what's going to hit. Because some teams you get a read like, okay, we save utility, we save Molotovs because they are executing a lot, but then all of a sudden the two rifles are sneaking up on you, and you can't stop them because you're too late holding utility or waiting for that stuff to happen. You know?
yeah. And I think we were in everyone's maybe prime back in the days in CSGO, of course, because DGT was playing so well, David was playing so well. And whenever we brought Buddha to the team,
Yeah.
everyone was like, this is a risky move because he came from academy and he was like with 2 or 3 events in his whole life in HLTV. So he was a really young and unexperienced player,
True
more than
rookie.
me.
Yeah.
So, but we fit together well. And also, I have to give the credits to Max because he's one of the best IGLs I've ever played with.
Really?
Yeah, nowadays I compare him a lot to Biguzera. I don't know if people know this, but Max has a pretty similar play style to Biguzera,
Mm-hmm.
and also back in the 9Z days I was there, he was really sharp and wise.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. And as you said, I felt the same that we were a thing that we could do mega strats and execute, but at the same time, we were just walking straight on bathrooms or banana on overpass, and
Yeah.
1 minute 30 we were outside. So it was a really cool moment. And I felt like if I had stayed a little bit more in 9Z, we couldn't. Oh, we could have gone further than we did, but it was a really cool time.
And this is what's crazy, right? So you're still in like you're young, you're 17. Are you now living with parents again, or are you living in Sao Paulo? Like where
I
are
was
you
living
in
with my
living with
parents.
your parents? Okay, so
Yeah,
you still lived at home in a different way, have
yeah, at my
gone
home.
back, gone through all this. How did the 00 Nation offer come together? How did you end up there? Because
So
obviously, people to know the 00 Nation you landed on, It's January 2023. Cold, Lato, Demao, Taco, and then you.
Yeah, the thing is, when 2022 ended, I was pretty hyped up in the Brazilian scene. I remember like Yuri Caserato and also Exile put me as the bold prediction for 2023.
Exile as well.
Exile as well, so that really
That's
surprised me.
Yeah, like I understand your Brazilian counterparts, but Exile, that's a big.
Yeah, for me it was completely random because what Exile has to do with me and why is he putting me?
Did he
Because
see you? Did he?
no, we used to practice a lot against them, so I
Okay.
thought maybe this is the reason. But for me,
Yeah.
it was a really cool thing. And back in the days, Exile was, I think, a top 5
Yeah.
leveler in the
Yeah,
world.
he was
So for me,
incredible.
yeah, it meant the world for me, and I was really hyped up. So as I said, a lot of offers came in, and
Exile giving this big help to your career.
yeah, a lot of offers came in, and 0-0 was one of the offers that came in. And this one was a tough one because, as I said, I think until today, if I had stayed in 9Z, we could have uh, gone further with the team. But as a Brazilian, I have to say, getting the opportunity to play with Cole and Taco was a thing
Yeah.
that whenever it came to my door, I was like, I cannot say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's cold, it's Taco, it's the same with Fallen.
Mhm.
Everyone in Brazil wanted to play with Fallen and still wants to play with Fallen, have the chance to play with Fallen. So, and other than that, we have Lato and Dumal that for me, still nowadays, are pretty good players in Brazil. So for me, it was a solid team. And also having the chance to come back to speak my native language.
It's a big win.
So for me, whenever they invited me, I was like, I love the guys from 9Z, I love the organization, but I cannot say no to this. And this is where I felt like the thing started to fall apart for me because in 0-0 we started well. We managed to go to Pro League, we managed to go to the RMR, but I felt like the vibe in the team was a complete different one that I had in 9Z. So in 9Z we were all the time together doing stuff together, and I think in 0-0 we were like more distance from each other. It was like more a team environment and not a family environment, I would like to say, in Brazil.
Do you think it was because of the age differences?
Yeah, maybe because the age difference,
Because
because
you got three young guys, you, Demal, and Lato.
and Cold and Taco, who has already won everything and had their own lives to live. Because I came there as an 18-year-old young boy, and Cold he had like 27, 28.
Yeah.
So he had his life, he has his family, and he has the stuff to do other than the game. The game is not. I thought that the game was not his prior focus as he used to be when he was in LG and SK. This is a common stuff. It's a natural
That's what
stuff.
happens. You get older, you got to do some other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but we started well, and I really saw future in the team. But all in a sudden, Taco had some issues, and he had to leave the team. And for me, it was really shocking because I think we played less than 2 months with Taco, and then he left the team.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what do we do now? Because the RMR was in 1 month. We haven't an IGL, and Cole was, you need to start to IGL. We have to find a player, and then this is where we brought Next. But the thing about Next, he was a really cool player, a really good player, but he was away from CS. He was actually studying. He stopped to play CS, so it was like
Him, yeah.
no, Next,
Okay.
the 9 one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we spent a good time with him. We played Pro League with him. We played the RMR with him. But the thing for me is that I entered 0-0 Nation with expectation, and all of a sudden the whole
Drops
thing
down.
went down, and we
Oh.
had to play with stand-ins. And for me, it was a really tough moment of my career because
But you've built it up in your head, right? Of like what it could be.
yeah, what it could be,
what you want it to be.
what it ended up being. And also Cole is a fantastic person, but inside the server we did not mesh well together. And I think his way of doing stuff and solving problems was really different than mine. So I had some issues with this because he's from the old times of CS, and I think the guys from these times used to do stuff way more, I'm not gonna say aggressive, but way more uh, emotive than today.
Yeah.
So I felt like the way that we were solving problems in Zero Zero Nation was not the best. It was more like screaming at each other or maybe arguing too much. And for me, this was a really tough thing to deal with because,
And you're young.
yeah, I was young and we spent a lot of time away from Brazil. And
Hmm.
also, as I said in 9Z, it was a completely different environment for me. So it was hard to adapt, it was hard to fit in. And
But I could also
the
imagine, like you
guys,
have like Coldzera and Taco, they're yelling you're making this mistake, that mistake, and they're your idols in some sense. It must
yeah,
take like a lot harsher on you as a person when they are saying it to you compared to someone else, where you can maybe say like, "Oh, we're on the same level, like chill."
yeah.
Uh,
But I truly feel there was no hard feelings between me and Code and Taco because, as I said, outside the server and also inside the server, there were amazing people, amazing players. But for me, I was really young and I did not knew how to handle
yeah.
being criticized in that way. So it was a tough period, and I had to, and I tried really hard to adapt to it,
Hmm.
but it was for me it was really rough. And added to that, I felt like the boys from Zero Zero Nation, they used to be from Godsend,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they had no AWPer in Godsend. So I felt like the playstyle of him was adapted to not have an AWPer.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I felt playing that there that I did not have too much space to play in my own way to do stuff that I wanted to do. So I felt pretty limited there.
And help me understand this, right? Because we've spoken about this on many broadcasts, on this podcast as well. When you're on a Brazilian team, your contract's really difficult to get out of, right? The
Yeah.
buyouts and all this stuff. So you obviously you started very young, but you still went round a few teams.
Yeah.
So did you have good contracts, or the buyout wasn't too crazy, or how did you get through all this? Because you started at 14.
Yeah, the thing is that I thank God my mom always helped me with the contract stuff, and she never let me.
Shout out, mom,
Yeah,
genius.
shout out mom because she never let me sign any bad contract.
Okay.
And I think also uh, this crazy buyouts is started recently. I don't
Okay, so
think.
it's more,
Yeah, it's more
yeah.
recently, and as you said, it's complete crazy because
Because
nowadays.
it's this, help us understand it, right? As non-Brazilian people,
Yeah.
it's something that comes from football originally, where this is how we've been told by other people that like it comes from Brazilian football, where big football teams wanted to come and buy a Brazilian player because he's very skilled.
Yeah.
So they had a thing in the contract, like a clause where it would be whatever his salary, but like times 400 or times 200 or something like that.
Yeah, there's a law in Brazil, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
that you have to have a buyout that is like 100 times
Okay.
your salary. But the problem lives there because in football you have laws. In
Yeah.
Counter Strike you don't.
Oh, so you guys don't
So
have, because
Ah,
I'm hearing
okay.
some people have this in their contracts now.
yeah, maybe now, but back in the days, we don't have any laws to make the contracts right. So you have like people receiving, let's put like $1,000
Mhm.
with 1 million of buyout.
What?
Well,
Yeah. So the things
And they're
were,
just signing because they don't know better.
yeah, and that's the point because players, I like me, whenever you got an offer, you just want to go so bad to play in that
Yeah, you're,
team
you're
that
desperate.
you're not focusing too much on reading the contract, seeing if everything is right. So thankfully, I had my mom to do it for me.
Yeah.
But if not for her, I would not do it, and maybe I'll be stuck in on some bad contract
yeah.
Because that's
because
what's interesting. I look at your career and you're on multiple different teams. You even went to 9Z, then you come here.
yeah.
You didn't ever seem to be in contract jail.
Yeah, but that's the main point because in Brazil, about this contract stuff, people were not being honest with the players, and
Hmm.
added to that, the players were not concerned about reading contracts and seeing what they were actually signing.
Of course. But that happens
So
everywhere. That
yeah,
happens in all
that happens
regions.
everywhere. But I think the thing in Brazil is now on a different level because, as you said today, you cannot buy a single player in Brazil
Yeah.
for a normal price.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing a news that I think the VP lineup was sold for 600 $6,100.
Oh, 600,000, yeah,
six
yeah,
hundred thousand
yeah.
dollars, yes, and a player in Brazil is like 400,000.
For like Insani or something like that, right?
Oh, his son is from what I suspect, he's not even close. That price is way higher.
Way higher.
Yeah, so in Brazil,
I mean,
it's
it kind of
I don't know
hurts the
nowadays.
Brazilian scene to some degree because I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
you need. I mean, now you've done really well at this major, but prior it's been kind of cold from the Brazilian teams in some sense, and I feel like every time you have like big teams struggling, and you could see that they need to have a change in their team, but there's nothing available, right? And you can see it
yeah,
with
there's nothing
Furia
available.
now. Like they couldn't do anything, so they had to kind of go this international route because not because of the
Yeah,
lack of
because
talent in Brazil, but because of the lack of obtainable talent, I guess.
yeah, you
Um,
have to be to have a ton of money to buy one single player. So I feel like in Europe, whenever teams need to change, they go there, they see the market. Okay, I want this player, I can buy him.
yeah.
But in Brazil, making changes in the teams is so difficult because everyone. Not saying that they don't deserve to be expensive, but it's not.
But it
Uh,
doesn't make sense.
it's not a logical price.
The
You know.
value for that, right, is like, let's look at this. If you're telling me, say, you think that Insani is way higher than that, he can't cost the same as a Monasi. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
players on two completely different levels.
Yeah, and not it's not because he's not as good as Monesi or
Yeah,
he can't be good as Monesi, but because Monesi has done a lot, and
the proof is there.
yeah, Monesi has done a lot. He has performed a lot, and not inside that didn't have it, but
But
comparing one to each other, you can compare them.
let's even do it with you, right? Obviously,
Yeah,
if we're gonna go to some Brazilian team wants to come buy you, let's say MRBR wants to buy you tomorrow, right? And your buyout's like 1 million. Just say this is all just I'm lying about numbers. We have no idea
yeah,
about numbers. So 1 million for you, but you can go and buy Molodoy for 200K.
100.
I'm gonna go buy
Yeah,
Molodoy.
yeah,
I'm sorry, I like you, but no,
yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
but that's the point. That's exactly the point. So making transfers and making roster changes in
Yeah.
Brazil, it's been difficult. It had never been that difficult.
Is your mum very like well educated?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So you double lucky with this.
yeah. She helped me a lot in that case because if not for her, I'm
You have
pretty sure I would not be in a good contract my
yeah.
whole life.
You have a good relationship with her now as well.
Yeah, yeah, a really good relationship because
You take care of her with that stick of money.
yeah.
You gotta pay it forward, bro. You gotta look after mum.
Yeah, but yeah, the thing is today in Brazil it is way easier and you have as good options as you have in Brazil to
Mhm.
find elsewhere because in Brazil the players are not affordable.
Oh, it's crazy. But luckily, you've been on pain for quite some time. So
Yeah,
you go through this moment, right? So if we get back to like the timeline,
yeah,
Zero Nation, you get dropped by the organization, it becomes fake natty.
yeah.
What happened in this? Was it just like the organization didn't want a Brazilian team anymore?
Actually, I don't know what exactly happened, but
Okay.
I think that the we had the people from Norway from Zero Zero
Yeah,
Nation,
yeah, yeah.
and also the Brazilian part of Zero Zero Nation, and the Brazilian part wanted to create their own organization.
And if I'm right, that's Dead.
That's dead.
Dead, who's a
Yes.
legend of the scene.
Yeah, yeah. So he told us we want to go to our own organization. We want to split up from Zero Zero Nation, and we want to build a new organization. But it took some time. That's why we stay as Fake
By the way,
Natty.
fake natty is
It's the worst thing that I've ever seen.
it's the
Yeah.
funniest name.
Yeah.
Because
You're
bro,
gonna check my HLTV page and there's Fake Natty there. That's I found it horrible.
who made the team name?
Actually, I think it was Dad alongside our manager. They're still in Legacy. His name is Americo.
Did someone have some steroid obsession here? Because that's when I read that.
Because
I mean,
there's a famous
it's even
meme
a
in Brazil.
bad name for a mixed team. Like it's
yeah, it's just
it's
not
terrible.
good. It's like
Yeah, it's terrible.
if I see this name, I'm like, I don't know if I want any of these players.
Yeah,
You know,
because
like the
back in the
difference.
time,
You join a server and you're like, I'm MIBR or something. You know, you feel like a young kid, like it's
I'm
cool.
playing
You
today
know,
against fake Natty.
yeah.
It just sounds like you're a bunch of kids on steroids.
Yeah, but the thing is that back in the days into 2023,
Mhm.
there was a guy who was really famous in Brazil. He was a guy that is a doctor and also a bodybuilder,
Okay.
and he has this whole meme of fake natty and all that stuff. So that's why we put it this name.
Ah.
But for me, I
You're
prefer
thinking,
it
what
to
the
have
hell?
no name than this one. But then we went to Legacy, and for me, it was a certain point that I was like uh, completely with no confidence, and
Oh no.
I did not want it to be there anymore
Okay.
But
because I
you had
felt
a
that
rough
I
lineup with a lot of changes. You never really got to the flow. I mean, you played like 3 months
yeah
with Taco, 3 months with Next, then Nekis comes in instead.
yeah
It felt like you never could get a flow going.
yeah, and for me it was really hard thing to deal with because as I said, I finished 2022 in the best way possible,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and my whole 2023 was terrible. I was
So you went like here to the
Yeah,
here
so
real
my
quick.
confidence was completely off, and I just wanted fresh air. I
Yeah.
needed fresh air, but I was playing so bad that I think maybe I'm not gonna get any more chance than this one.
Mhm.
But thankfully, God, all in a sudden, I received the offer from Pain and also in the time from 9Z.
Oh yeah, 90 come back to you.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I remember talking to my mom, and I was like, "Mom, this is the light at the end of the tunnel,"
Yeah.
because I was
My way
so
out.
yeah, it was I was so low confidence, and I loved the boys from Legacy, but I couldn't perform there or be
Mhm.
happy there playing. So whenever those two teams invited me, I had this chat with my mom, and she told me, "Son, I really think the best decision for you is actually going to 9Z because
Ooh.
she loved the time that I was there, and also
Okay.
the fans from 9Z, they were always really supportive with
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
and we had a lot of good memories there. But I told her, Mom, I really want to go to Pain because I feel like it's gonna work. And also having Kawes there, he's a friend of mine since
Yeah.
2016. So I really wanted to play with him, and I needed fresh air.
You had
Did
Ricks
you
there
did
as
you
well,
live
right?
close?
Yeah, Ricks also, and also Lux because I play with Lux on Daytona.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Did you live close to cows or something, or did you just only
Actually,
for
not
CS?
only for CS because
Okay.
Kawes lives at the end of the world. It's really far from everybody in
It's like
Brazil.
Devil Walk. He lives at the end of the world as well.
It's true.
Yeah, yeah. We had this meme with Kawes in the team that he had to pick up a horse, a boat, a taxi, and a plane to get to Sao Paulo. So it was really tough. He lived at the end of the world, but I really wanted to play with him, Lux and Rix.
Mhm.
And also, all this time that I played in Brazil, Bigu was always a known guy
Yeah, yeah.
and a guy that whenever you played against Spain, he was a pain in the ass. He was always playing well and was always a guy that I look into it and thought that this guy is good. Having the chance to play with him someday will be a good experience,
Yeah.
and it did so. But as I told you guys, whenever I left 00 Nation and went to Pain,
Mhm.
I was really low confidence. So when I arrived to Pain, it took me some time to regain my confidence.
Of course. So when you got the offer between 9Z and Payne, who was offering more money? I don't have to tell me what money, but like who was
No,
on
it
paper?
was the same.
Both the same.
Yeah, it was the
Okay,
same.
so just a straight same offer.
Yeah, the
And
same
so it was
offer.
just your feeling, people you knew on there.
Yeah,
Obviously, you get to speak just Portuguese as well, which helps.
yeah, and I really wanted to be in the PAN organization also because I was always a fan because I used to play League of Legends when I was younger, and they
Uh-huh.
are a pretty known organization, League of Legends. So I was always a fan of Pain,
Mhm.
and having the opportunity to play under the organization was a really cool stuff for me, and I just wanted. So I told Mom, I respect your opinion, but I really want to go to Pain.
Yeah.
So it was
So she
an
let you go to
improvement
Payne.
from
Yeah,
going into the server from fake Natty.
yeah, no,
Hey, he was in pain when he got to Payne and had to find himself
yeah.
again after
But
all of
also,
that.
I guess also like a good choice as well. I mean, I'm sure you would have the same opportunity in 9C, but like being that low confidence, having some of these guys who knows you and knows how good you can be, to kind of, because in this lineup, you guys for the first time for you didn't change that much for a while, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was the first time that we actually got a team that could stick up together for a long time, and we played the RMR. We went to the major, but it was a cool process because I remember everyone helped me a lot, and also Kawis, Lux, and Rix that knew me well and play with me when I was a total different guy.
Hmm.
They saw me playing that way and feeling that way, and they were like, "We're not like this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a really cool process, and I remember arriving in Spain. I was like, okay, what will I do right now? Do
Mhm.
I still know how to play CS? But it took me a while, but we made it to the Copenhagen major,
Yes.
and it was a really,
That
really
was still with Nissim, right? That was like his last event.
yeah with
Yeah.
Nissim. But it was a really cool feeling for me because I was nearly the rock bottom when I left Caesar Nation, and whenever I made it to the Copenhagen major, I was like, bro, this feeling so good because at some point I was thinking maybe that's it for me, you know,
Hmm.
because of course I was really young, but was passing inside my head, and whenever we got to the major, I was like, okay,
I'm back.
yeah, I'm not exactly back, but I have the chance now to be back.
Yeah.
And it was, as I said in an interview back in Copenhagen, it was the best decision that I made in my life to join Pain because the people here, the players, and everyone, basically everyone here, makes me stay here forever.
And you're nearly at 2 years with the organization. You joined in
Yeah,
November 2023,
yeah, it best flying.
and it's going fast. Because
Yeah,
so I want to talk about the Nissim thing because Nissim played incredible during that Copenhagen major as well. But it was
yeah.
just like the last event. Was there no way you guys could hold on to him? There was like, I know it's a loan, but like, what happened there?
The thing about Nissim is, I think Payne had a loan deal with Sharks,
Yeah.
Yep.
and from what I've heard, the price was a certain amount
Hmm.
before the major, but after we played the major and he played really well,
Ah.
uh,
Of course. Of course.
the price went higher, and I don't know what happened exactly, but Payne and Sharks did not get into a deal.
Yep.
So for us, it was really shocking because we ended the major almost going to the playoffs with a 4 month team.
Hmm.
So we wanted to stay together, and I think not only me but Kawes, Lux, and Bigo wanted to stay with Nissan, and he always also wanted to stay with us. So whenever he left,
That's
he
so sad.
no, it's really sad. And whenever he left, he told us, I'm not gonna keep playing because
Yeah.
I just want to play with you guys." I was like, "No, bro, it
You
can't
gotta
be.
keep going. You're too good.
It can't be that way, you know." Because we all wanted him, and he wanted to stay. So it was a really really sad moment for all of us. And I remember the time that we used to play a lot against Sharks in Brazil, and we
Hmm.
were flaming in all the matches because
Yeah.
we were really upset about the situation. But it is how it is, and we
It's the shit side of the business.
yeah, and we brought actually Nie
Yep. From the
Nie Zin
from Pain
from
Academy.
the academy. Yeah, it was one of the finest and humble guys that I've ever met. We played Get Real with him.
Yeah. You won.
Yeah, we won. And this tournament is, I have no words for this tournament because it was a complete mess. With all the respect, but it was a complete mess. We managed to win, but I remember
This is the one with all the problems, right? At the
yeah,
event.
all the
Yeah.
problems. I remember we were leaving the arena at 5 a.m. and we had to come
Oh
back
wow.
at 9:30 p.m. Oh, 9:30 a.m.
Jesus.
So we were
So this
com-
was like some event had been set up. They'd overdone things. They couldn't actually run an event successfully, right?
yeah, I think all the stuff were uh not being done in the right way.
Yeah.
And I remember we were playing at the same time two more tournaments. So we were playing per day
Well, like,
three trivial trees.
so you're doing this LAN and then some online as well.
We are playing this land and also the EWC
Oh
qualifier
my
online.
god.
So I remember we played MIBR on Get Real, and we played MIBR in the same day for AWC. So it was, if you ask any of the guys of the team that were there, it was the craziest tournament of our entire lives because we were really, really tired.
Yeah.
And we had all that situation with Imperial that we wanted to play in the next day. They didn't want it, so we started to play a BO3 at 2 uh 2 in
Morning.
the 2 in the morning. And I remember the family from Nie. He was like his father, his mother, his, how do I say it in English? His uncle,
Yeah.
his aunt, and
They're all there.
yeah, they were all there at 3 a.m. in the arena.
Wait, that's love. That's family
Yeah.
love.
And we ended up winning. So it was a really cool tournament because had some international teams, some teams from Europe. So
Yeah.
it meant a lot for us winning that tournament. But being honest, it was a complete mess. The tournament was not done right. I remember they after our final, it had to be occurring the women's final
Oh God, after you guys.
after us.
Oh wow.
And I remember there was no big screen on the arena because I don't know what happened, but the game was not shown on big screen. So it was a complete mess. I don't know what happened,
So sad.
but is it the type of tournament that I will not say a lot of bad things because we ended up winning. So
Yeah. And that's like, was that the biggest win of your career at that point?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
On LAN with this new pain team. But then the lineup changes again.
yeah.
Academy player doesn't stay. You guys don't get on with him, right?
Yeah, the thing is that he was really inexperienced at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but we felt that we couldn't stay with him because he still needed time to be able to play in a team like the ours was.
Yeah.
I have only good feelings and good memories about EA, but he was not ready at the time, I feel
Mhm.
like. So we went to Snow. And I remember being at Rio after we won the tournament. I was having lunch with Bigu, and he told me, "What do you think about Snow?" And this is the point that I was like, he's a good player, but I'm afraid of what bringing a 17-year-old teenager that does opposite roles from what we expect him to do here
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
will make to him. So other than that, I was like, okay, he's young. He seems to be a good player. So for me, if he's committed to doing new roles because we wanted him to do new roles, for me, there's no reason why. Because we always had this philosophy that we can make a good team out of new players and unexperienced players because we are actually getting experience together, and I think that's a good way to grow up. So we brought up Snow, and for me, it's one of the best decisions that have ever made in Pain because
You almost didn't have him.
we almost didn't have him.
So I know Wildcard wanted him, right? That was public.
Yeah, he was pretty hyped up
You
in Brazil
guys,
back in the days.
you guys wanted him, but like there were other teams also wanting him, right?
Yeah, I don't remember which team, but I
That's
remember that whenever we talked to Snow and his uncle, they were like, "Okay, if you really want him, you are the priority. He really wants to play in Pain." So it was a mutual interest because whenever we called him, he was like, "Okay, if that's right. If you are actually calling me, I want to go there."
perfect.
How was actually? I wanted to ask this. How was your like? Because we touched, you knew some of the guys, you knew some of the players going into Pain as a team. But how would you compare it? You know, like you obviously with the Zero Zero Nation and that stint, and didn't feel as much of a family anymore. Do you feel like in Pain you got brought back to that kind of family feeling, and that's why it feels like it's not as much of a risk bringing in younger players?
Yeah, absolutely. I think joining Pain brought me back that feeling that I had in 9Z
Yeah.
that we outside the server we are not only teammates, we are friends. So for me specifically, having that is a really important part and is a thing that can actually help you to get better at what you're doing, actually our job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the players that passed here from Pain, we always been really really united. And I remember in the last major in Shanghai, Drop from RBR came to us. We were like 4 people in the gym, and he was like, "You guys seems like the perfect team because you are always doing stuff together. You are always laughing together."
Mm-hmm.
And it was a thing that really caught me thinking, because of course we are not the perfect team. We were not the perfect team. All teams have problems, but in that sense, we were really united. We were always doing stuff together. I remember in Shanghai, we were like me, Kawes, Snow, and Lux in the same room, just talking shit, laughing and stuff like that. So that's the thing that still lives up today. That we are really united, and this is the things that for me makes the most difference.
It's such an important factor as well.
I
And
don't think
then
people realize how important it is because you're spending so much time with people. Like assume you're still gonna get annoyed at each other and have moments, uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
but that's
everyone
just
does,
like
family do.
yeah, but it's just a consequence of spending too much time with people. In a sense, not because they're generally annoying or anything. Uh, but I think you also get more hungry, more willing to learn, more willing to teach each other, and breathe and live Counter Strike if you enjoy doing it, instead of it being this heavy burden you need to escape, which can happen in some teams. So I think it brings so many good things that I don't think people realize.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, I won't say anything. I was just thinking. I was just thinking.
It's all good, man. It's a lot of talking when you get the podcast, man. It's
Yeah.
a lot of things to look at. So, okay, Snow comes in, all this hype around him, but he's changed roles, he's changed position, and it wasn't. I wouldn't say it's a bad time in pain, but I think because of Snow coming in, the expectations were maybe higher
Yeah.
from the public as well.
Yeah.
There was more eyes on pain.
Yeah. And also, we were in a point last year that the discussions about who is actually the best Brazilian team started to show up.
Yeah. Well,
And
that we were talking about that a lot on the English desk.
yeah, and it's always a thing that we try to not think too much about it. But at the end of the day,
Everyone's gonna do it.
everyone's gonna do it, and everyone wants to be seen as the best Brazilian team. Although this doesn't mean too much in the international scene, it's good. So this conversation started, and I think like it didn't help. It didn't bother us that much, but we start to.
You were the best Brazilian team at one point for sure.
Yeah, at one point I do feel like we were, but that's when we lost to Furia,
Mm-hmm.
and we started to have some tiny discussions and some problems that we did not manage to fix it, and that's when the Lux bench came.
So the Lux benching, because I really like Lux. I thought he was always good.
Yeah.
It did come as a surprise. So what was the reason behind the Lux benching? Like,
Yeah, the thing is, whenever we decided that we're going to bench him, we knew that the community was going to react a little bit weird, because it did not make sense at the time for the
on paper,
people.
looking at
Yeah,
it, yeah,
outside I understand that did not make sense, because as I told you, other players from other Brazilian teams look at us like the perfect team, the team that
yeah.
it's going to shine really soon. But for us at the time, it makes sense because we felt that we needed, how can I say it? I'm trying not to say bad things
Of
about
course.
Lux, because I love him as a person, as a
Mhm.
player, but we are trying to find a person with some other qualities that he didn't had, or maybe did not pursue yet,
Okay.
and we found that on David. So we needed a guy that was aggressive. I'm not gonna say all the time, but I felt like Lux was a guy who was really methodical
Hmm.
and really focused on the process of the things, and always studying things and trying to do the things as most robotic way possible.
Yeah, like the correct way of doing
Yeah,
things all
correct
the
way of
time.
doing, but I
He was also like more of a second caller as well, right?
yeah,
Like the second voice in the
yeah,
team.
second caller.
So what was it
But
that
I felt like
you needed the X factor to kind of go
yeah,
like
I felt like yeah, you can say it.
because I mean sometimes like I always see like almost a Counter Strike team as you start off as kind of an FPL player, you're just doing things randomly, and then you have
Yeah.
to not unlearn all of that and start playing real Counter Strike where you structure team play, playing with teammates, and then you unlearn that and you go back to FPL again in some sense, where you need to like break the mold, you need to change things because everyone knows how to play this right way, that you have to change
Yeah.
into this crazy way in the right way, if that makes sense. I know it sounds
Yeah.
weird, but
Yeah. No, I do get it. But yeah, it's similar to that because we felt that in David we could have a player that was actually his natural way of playing was being aggressive.
Yeah.
So we know that he can play the right way and the correct way, but he's the guy that we know that you he will do unexpected things because it's his way of playing, and that's why we felt that we needed. Not that Lux couldn't do it, but we felt like in David we would find a more natural playmaker and aggressive player.
yeah,
So it for us it makes sense to make this change. And until today I talk a lot with Lux and I hope him the best. But for us, it was a really tough move to make because he was a lovely person, lovely
Yeah.
player, and also a really good player. But as I said, for us, it makes sense the addition from David, and he was also a guy that I knew really well from playing from 9Z, and he was a guy that Bigu always had a sight on even before I joined it because he's a guy that aim wise is one of a kind.
Yes, we saw that. I remember him. Blast Bounty was
Yeah,
ridiculously good.
so
And
for
if I'm
us,
right, he speaks. Well, he lives in Brazil
he
anyway,
lives in
right?
Brazil with his
His
girlfriend.
girlfriend's Brazilian,
Yeah,
and he speaks like perfect
he
Portuguese.
speaks perfect
So yeah,
Portuguese.
zero problems on communication
Yeah,
despite the flag.
yeah. So for us at the time, makes sense for us to have Lux, to have David. Sorry.
Yeah, David instead of Luck.
Yeah.
And was there ever a chance that you wouldn't be able to sign him from Red Canids?
Actually not.
It was just a smooth thing.
Yeah, back in the days, he wanted to come, and Red was willing to make a good negotiation from both
Yeah.
parts. So we managed to bring him.
And then the start of 25, I
Yeah.
would say, is good. Last bounty, I'm looking at pay and I'm like, okay, David's here. This looks great. He
Yeah.
was owning a blast bounty, like just ripping heads off. And then you make it to playoffs, and I think, okay, we're really cooking now.
Yeah.
Then Katowice, you were at Katowice, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were in
Katowice
Katowice.
wasn't so good, if I remember. But then also it was Cluj-Napoca.
Cluj-Napoca that we went to the
First
playoffs.
playoffs, Cowers is there. But at this point, even to me, Cowers was definitely the weak link of the team. Like it wasn't standing up to what you guys needed.
Yeah, the thing about Cowers is because, as I said, he's a really close friend of mine, a really good
Yeah.
friend of mine. But I felt that during his time in Pain, he basically done every role in the game and changing
Change.
constantly. And as I said, I think that I said for you when we removed him,
Yeah.
it's hard to be consistent when you don't even know what role you're gonna be playing next day.
Very
So
good teammate. Like he's doing everything for the team.
yeah, he's good. He did everything that he could for the team, but we felt like it was starting to maybe crumble, and he was losing confidence, and maybe it was the time for him to come back to do what he really liked to do. Because,
Mm-hmm.
as I said, is as some players have their own profiles of playing, the way of playing,
Mm-hmm.
and you could clearly see that Kawes was not feeling comfortable playing as lurker, as a anchor.
yeah,
Yeah.
So he was not fitting well the way that we needed him to fit, and it was clear he was not comfortable doing the roles, and you could see that on his game. So you mix that with uh, bad performances, we can say. You lost confidence, and more
Mm-hmm.
if you go losing confidence, and at a certain point for us it was pretty clear that it was not being good for him and also not for us. So it was the toughest decision that I had to make in my life because I
He's a
truly,
friend.
he's a good friend of mine. I truly love him, and we've been through all together. But he was not feeling well about the positions, and we were not feeling well about him playing that position. So for us, it makes sense to make that move also.
How does Payne go about these changes? Like, is it just Bigu and Rix, or do they talk with you guys as the rest of the team? Like, are you involved in these conversations?
Yeah, we always like to do conversations with the whole team because we want to everyone to be having the knowledge and understanding what we want to do and where we want to go.
Yeah.
So if you are making a move, everyone needs to know why we are making this move, who we are thinking to bring, and for of course everyone whenever we make these benches to say goodbye. Of course, it's the hardest part, but uh, I think it's the better one to do it because everyone stays on the same page
Yep.
for the upcoming moves.
But the upcoming moves was a player coming from the Academy League, or the Academy team, should I say.
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity for him. He was very young. He had some maps that were okay.
Yeah.
But was this ever like the final move? Was there a chance for him to be on the team, or was it more like just a waiting for what you wanted to try and see happen?
Yeah, actually, we wanted to see what's going to happen.
Mhm.
Of course, if he, I don't know, played a fantastic way, and not that he didn't, but uh, of course, he had a chance to stay on the team, but he would have to show amazing stuff because it was
Yeah.
not our first thought. But I think that it's really rough whenever you get a guy from the academy and you just throw him at the tier one and expect him to
Yeah.
perform well.
And different roles and positions again.
Different roles and different positions again.
His first event was Bucharest, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Bucharest. And as you said, he did play, of course, not great, of course, not shit, but he did play well some matches. But it's really rough to get a guy that haven't played anything. It was his first LAN.
Yeah.
And you're gonna throw him to play against Niku, for example.
Yeah.
So as I said, I've been there, and it's really
Yeah.
rough whenever you go to this first opportunity. But we had a good time with Demo. He was a really good kid, and as you said, we were trying to take this time with him as teaching him some stuff and also for him to learn some stuff and be better for the next team that we would join.
Yeah.
So we were not certain about the GT yet when we were at demo, but we're heading that way. And I think it was a pretty good moment for him. Of course, not ideal for us because we didn't want to play with standings, but at the same time,
You can't help that.
yeah, but at the same time, we wanted to give our best and show him what it's like to compete against the best, what it's like to travel from outside Brazil to play against the best, and I think he deserved that opportunity and was a pleasure to play with him.
Is the month of April something Pain fans should be worried about, or Pain Academy players should be excited about? Because
Not really, not really.
both stand-ins came at the same time of the year, both in April.
Yeah, yeah. That's a cool stuff. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
The April Pain month of craziness.
Yeah.
It's funny, right? Because then we look at this and Demo plays just 2 events, right?
Yeah, 2 events.
And then you get DGT. DGT was on 9Z for 6 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Was this just perfect timing? Like his contract coming up to end? Was it, or he wanted to change?
I think he maybe wanted to change.
Yeah.
I haven't had a talk with him about that, but for us, whenever we got to know that he will actually wanted to go to our team, we were like, okay, this might be the move that we need to go to a next level. And of course, first, whenever we played the Blast tournament, we were
Rivals, right?
completely wrecked.
Oh no, was it Rivals or Lisbon first?
Was Rivals.
Rivals
We
first,
not
okay.
went to Lisbon, but whenever we played the first tournament with him, of course our expectations were really high because I think everyone, when we actually brought him to the team, we were like, okay.
But this one you had all 5, right? Bigger was there,
All
Rich wasn't
5.
there.
Yeah,
Yes, this
the
is good.
Melbourne stuff, I'm not gonna say too much
We just
about
ignore
it
that. That was
because
not, yeah, you can't.
it was more of a having fun tournament because we
This
were
is just me laughing at Rix.
Yeah. It was really funny to look to my right side and having Ricks play alongside me. So the Melbourne the tournament, we just wanted to have fun and enjoy as much as we can. We almost won against FaZe.
It's crazy.
So it was really cool, but nothing to say about it. It was a really unfortunate moment because Bigu was ill of his ear.
Yeah, it's here.
But whenever we brought DGT to Blast, we were like, okay, we can't have that much of expectations because we only practiced 2 days.
Okay.
But right now, I think everyone thought the same, that right now we have the team that we are. It only depends on ourselves right now because we have all the pieces that we want to solve that puzzle, the whole puzzle for us. Because as I said, we were lacking a guy that really anchor sites and play lurk roles from day one, and that guy is DGT. And he was not a lurker at all. And DGT was always a lurker. I played with him 9Z. He was one of the best that I ever played. So for us, we had all the pieces, but we went to Blast without practicing, and we had a little bit of cold water shower because
like, oh, this isn't what I expected.
Yeah, because we got completely destroyed by Mouse, and after that we got completely destroyed by Wildcard. So whenever we left Blast, we knew that okay, this tournament will not show us what really we are capable of doing with this lineup, but it was really sad to lose in that way.
Was Astana before or after?
After Astana was after.
Okay, so Astana's crazy because you expect to have DGT there,
and then he has visa
then he has
issues.
the visa issue, and there's not many countries that Kazakhstan doesn't allow to visit them. There's only a few countries that don't allow it.
I didn't even know that Kazakhstan needed a visa to be there.
Exactly, so he gets super unlucky with this. But am I right also? He doesn't speak good Portuguese.
He's improving.
Okay, look,
he's improving, but
he's
still kind of a no.
Improving. Yeah, but he's trying to learn Portuguese, but I think it's.
But he spoke Spanish most of his career, or all of his career.
Yeah,
all his career.
All of his career. So it's not like David that started his career on a Brazilian team.
Yeah.
DGT always speaks Spanish, so I think for him is that part of I want to speak Portuguese, but my mind still thinks in Spanish.
Yep.
So whenever he tries to speak Portuguese, some things still goes out as Spanish words.
But you've made it to playoffs of a fucking major when the guy can't communicate. Do you know what? When you can communicate, things are gonna get real nice.
Yeah, but he's doing way better now. He's actually speaking Portuguese mixed with Spanish. As Bigu said, it's like the Portuguese is a mix of Spanish and Portuguese. But yeah, we left Blast. No real comments about that. But Astana was a really tough moment because whenever we got taught that he was not going for the first 2 days, we were like, okay, what else is gonna happen to us this year?
Yeah,
it's a rocket dropping on us right now.
Boom, over and over again.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, we just have to win the first match, and if we lost the second one, it's fine. We are 1-1. But this was a really interesting tournament talking about me because I remember playing against Odek, and of course, I think that in this match we were favorites.
Yes,
and we lost pretty badly.
And you didn't have Ricks, right, for the Odek match? It was
actually DGT.
DGT had come back.
So we had no excuses left.
Yeah.
So we are the full team. We are favorites in a match that we were supposed to win. And I remember we lost pretty badly to Odek, and I was like with one of the worst feelings of my life. Not because we lost to Odek, but because of the way that I played. And next day we play against MRBR. We lost again, and I think this was the turning point for us to having this good result at the major right now, because I remember being so frustrated and so upset about the losses, not because we lost to Brazilian teams, but the way we lost. That we had like a 2-hour talk about everything that we need to fix it, because as I told you guys, we used to be a really united team, and everyone was feeling that we were missing this with this new lineup. So we were starting to get more.
So it hadn't clicked yet.
Yeah, we were not staying together as long as we used to stay. We were not having good time together as we used to have, and we had this huge talk about all this stuff, and we went back to Brazil. So Astana was a turning point for us because we had a shit tournament and we use it to, okay, let's talk everything that is bothering everyone right now so we can go to the most important tournament of the year in a good way,
Yeah.
in a good vibe, in a good mood. And it was the best thing that we could have done there, because I remember leaving Astana, and I was like, I was feeling in a way that I didn't even know if I wanted to continue to play, because
Really?
yeah, really.
So
Bec-
that this up and down of the standings and the events and
yeah,
everything had been that bad.
because this start of the year was really rough for us, and I was like, maybe I need a month or two to get my mind together, because I was not feeling well, I was not playing well, and I was okay, I don't know what else to do, because
You
we
were
are,
overthinking.
yeah, I was overthinking. I think everyone was like that. So this talk was really, really important for us, because uh, if we came to the major without having this conversation, I don't think that we would be able to go this far as we are going now.
Yeah.
Who initiates these talks for the team? Like, who says that we need to have this talk? Is it Riggs? Is it Bigu?
This one is Astana was Rick's,
Mm-hmm.
because uh, since he's from outside, he can note things and uh, see things that we are not specifically taking in a look into it. So whenever we lost to my BR, or other, I don't know which day we had this conversation, but whenever we had one of those losses, we were all in the prac room, and he said, guys, we need to talk. We need to say everything that everyone is feeling, because the things are not going well.
Yeah.
We have no more excuses of standings or playing without the full team. We are with the full team, and yet we are not feeling well with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more of a outside the server than inside the server, because as I said, inside the server we have all the players that we could have wanted ever. I think for me is a probably it has the potential to be the best pain lineup that it has ever been.
Well, the proof is already
Yeah,
here. The proof is definitely
yeah, the
here.
proof is here. So we didn't want to be losing matches from stuff outside the server.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a really important moment that I thank God that we had this conversation, because we wouldn't be here if not for this one.
That's really cool, and you had it at a good time. You had some time to kind of change the things you needed to change, because sometimes, I mean, you can even have positives from having these talks, mid tournament, but you don't really have the time to adjust and prove to people and yourself that you're making the changes, right? I've
Yeah.
had plenty of those where it's good for a day and then it bounces back, but glad you guys actually made a change. I'm sure you've talked about it before and it helped a
Yeah.
little bit, but then this was like a smash into a brick wall and okay, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really really cool story, and it's obviously proving to be a really really good lineup, exciting lineup, and
Mm-hmm.
feels like you're back where you should probably have been even at the start of the year, as you guys, where you showed that potential, where you were super exciting. Um, so yeah, it's really cool to get to know your story and your like kind of you know history from being that like 13-14-year-old kid playing the first game to now being at a playoff at a major.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, after this one, uh, we all felt that the things were going to change, because at the end of the day, we had this conversation when we were in Brazil, everyone at their own homes,
Mm-hmm.
that if we play well at the major,
Yeah,
if we have a performance that we can be proud of, every everything that has passed in this year, every bad stuff that we have passed on, will be only past. We will
Yeah.
forgot,
yeah.
because the major is the most important part of the year, and it's what we all play for. It's where we all want to be, and it's the tournament that everyone wants to win. So we knew that if we came here and play a CS that we can be proud of, it's gonna be all worth it.
He told me something very interesting in one of the interviews.
Yeah.
Actually, I should tell this story first. So on the day they went to play VP, NQZ did the pre-match interview with me, and I just told him, I said, I got a feeling that you're gonna win today, like you're gonna qualify today.
Yeah.
And then what did you do? Went back and told the boys.
Yeah. No, because he was super nice with me. He just hugged me and told me, "You're gonna win today." And I was like, I came to the guys and was like, "Guys, Banks just told me that we're gonna win today," and he gave me a hug. This guy is the best one. Let's win it.
I just believe, man.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you wake up and have a feeling. I'm doing my own predictions, right? And like, I'm like, okay, VP is 2-0 into 2-2. Pain is 0-2 into 2-2.
Yeah, you have
And also
momentum
VP
there.
were not winning rounds. And I just was like, and then I saw him, I did the interview with him and spoke to him, and I just afterwards I was like, shit, they're actually gonna win. Like Payne's gonna do this. And it just hit me. Like I was like, I'm going with my gut right now. I've got this feeling. Payne's winning. Like,
But by the way,
Yeah,
when
and I
you're playing
remember.
like VP, did you feel like you had this like advantage going into the game just because you lost in the previous stage against them, right?
yeah, they played. They
Because
had a rematch.
you know this feeling where you like you lose a games to a team, you can make the changes and they cannot really do that much to prepare. You always have like a little bit prep advantage because you know
Yeah.
their good stuff.
Yeah, a little bit, but I felt the bigger advantage that we had is that we were 0-2 and we
Mm.
managed to win 2 matches in a row. And VP started 2-0 and got completely wrecked
Yeah.
in both of those matches.
Yeah,
So what passed through our minds is like, guys, they are not in a good mood right now, maybe because they had 2 chances. They were completely blown out in both of those chances, and we are coming from an 0-2, so we won the last few 2 days,
yeah,
and I think the momentum counted a lot for us there,
Yeah.
and also our history with VP, we had more wins than losses, so I think everyone knew that the first match, of course, VP played well, but we all left the match with the feeling that we threw a lot of rounds that we shouldn't.
You threw dust too last
Yeah,
time.
that's too. The fleet on Goose 4K was
Did you
completely.
see this devil, by the way?
I
So on the
saw.
first time they played,
Yeah,
Flammus was like with a 5-7 in Goose. Flip was behind him. So Flammus runs out and just gunning, and they kill Flammus, and they never, all three players from Pain don't look Goose again. And Flit's just there like, oh, okay. No one's
Yeah.
looking at me. And he just waits and he just sprays you guys down.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that we were one guy planting and two guys. I don't know why running in the side. So the scream from Fleet is really funny because he's like tuk, 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 tuk. And I remember asking David, bro, why are you running? We have the side. Why are you running straight left and forward, left and right? And he was like, I don't know. But seeing Fleet's point of view, it was like it was really difficult to make that 4K. And he also, after killing 3 guys, he landed me a headshot. It was absolutely crazy. But we ended the match with the feeling that okay, uh, we did not play a good CS today. And I remember talking to the boy. It was like it was good that we lost today, so we can see that it's better to lost and see what we are doing wrong to advance and thinking there are not mistakes being
yeah,
being made
Yeah.
because the game from repeat showed us a lot, and going to the match on the qualification match, we all know that they are going to change stuff, and also we did change stuff, but the previous match counted a lot
Mhm.
because we actually knew what to expect, and I was wondering because they did a lot of this bait and switch thing, so they like to put like flit on somewhere, someone's go out running and he stands there baited.
yeah.
But in the first match we were caught by surprise by it, but in the second match we were checking every
Double
single
checking.
corner in the map. Yeah, so this was a thing that they used in the first match, but they couldn't use on the second match. Was a little bit of an advantage for us for sure.
Yeah.
I'm so happy it worked out.
Yeah, me too.
I had that feeling, and then I was scared for you guys on that dust too,
No, we
but
were
you did
checking
it.
every single corner against them, every
Yeah.
single corner.
It was good that you had the read on them though. You learned a lot from it, and
Yeah,
that's obviously so important. And now you find yourself, you're gonna get your first ever little statue trophy in the game.
This was a thing that we were commenting about.
By the way, this is the thing which is shit about playing Counter-Strike with him. We hide our names on Faceit so they can't see it's us.
But he has the
fucking trophy, so everyone knows it's him. You can't hide with him; it's impossible. So, yeah, you will never be invisible again.
Yeah.
But it's a very nice thing to have.
Troll names don't work anymore now. For you, it's over. They're all gonna comment NQZ whenever you play.
They just work it out. They're like, oh, okay. And yours is a fucking major winning trophy. So we really can't hide him at all.
And yours is back in the days that each trophy was a different one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is so cool. I think they screwed up doing all the same for all the majors because you had, like, for example, Cologne, it was a Cologne trophy. You had like I think EMS one. It was a different trophy. So I think Valve should bring back this. It was really cool. But I'm really happy that I'm going to have a trophy.
Finally.
I'm really happy that I have a trophy.
And you're 20 years old.
Really
it's not bad, man. It's a beautiful thing. The next thing to go, because we're at the end of the, like, I guess the NQZ part, is we can kind of look at the playoffs bracket. But I mean, how do you feel, first of all, about your side of the bracket?
Being honest, I feel like we have a match that I said last year that everyone wanted to watch in Brazil.
Yeah.
And it was a group stage match. So I think now everyone really wants to see a Pain and Fury in a playoff match.
But you guys on this side, your stage experience is lacking in comparison.
Yeah, in comparison to Fury, we have way lesser experience. But I think, being honest with you, of all the matches that we could have got, I think catching Fury in the first match will be the most entertaining and most joyful match to play, because either of these teams, I think, have good capability of going further. I'm being honest with you. I think that if you go to semifinals, we are totally capable of winning, and Fury also are totally capable of winning grand final. And I think the storyline for Brazil is really, really, really cool because we haven't had a double team of Brazilian team.
But is this like the match that defines who is the best Brazilian Counter-Strike team? Is that what's on the line here?
Yeah, I do think so. I'm not going to this match thinking about it, but I think the whole Brazil community is thinking now this is the match who's going to define.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I'm really excited to play it because playing against a Brazilian team on a major playoff, and especially playing against Fallen, Keserado, Yuri in a major playoff is going to be huge for me. So I'm really excited. I'm really hyped up. And of course, I want to win. But just by being able to play in it in front of 10,000 people is going to be absolute madness.
It's going to be full and packed.
And it also means, obviously, that the Brazilian team is going to be top 4.
Guaranteed, yeah.
Actually, on Gaules' stream, they were cheering for that.
Yeah.
Because when we won against VP, they were like, Brazil is semi-finalist.
Yeah, no matter what.
Finally again.
No matter what. Is it because of Fallen, obviously, Yuri K. Serato, the Fury gets more cheers for them? Or are they also a bit more with you? Like, because what I did, I put you guys beating Furia, and I tweeted out the picture, and all these Brazilian fans
got a lot
like,
of hate, right?
They were like, fuck you, you think Fallen's bad? You always say Fallen. By the way, I've never said Fallen should retire, but some idiots are like, you said Fallen should retire? And I'm like, definitely never said that. And they're like, you don't believe, watch it, Fallen's going to AWP in this match as well. I'm like, no, he's definitely not. Molodor's going to AWP, you brainless fucking idiot. But
yeah,
like, how is it for you as the player on the other side? You are Brazilian. I think they should cheer for you in some way. Yeah. But is it just massively furious still, even when it's not 5 Brazilian players?
Yeah, I do feel like it's more related to the fact that Fallen is in Furia. Because I remember when they had the old lineup with Vinny and Art, and they used to play against MIBR from Fallen, Furia was really, really hated. And I think that is the fact that Fallen is there.
So Fallen carries this still, no matter what team.
I mean, I have empathy in this. You know, I used to be in Fnatic when NIP was the big dogs. We did not get many cheers even from Swedish fans.
You know, in Sweden, they got booed playing at NIP. Even when they beat NIP, they got booed, and they were the hated team.
Yeah, so I think the real thing is, it's not that people don't cheer for us, but it's do think people maybe think that we want to surpass Fall in a certain way or become the new face of Brazil, and
I
which I
mean,
think
who
is a really
wouldn't? Who
natural thing.
wouldn't?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really natural thing, but I think that people don't understand that we don't want to erase or uh, say that Fallen is not longer important. Because me being honest, I don't think no one will ever do what Fallen did for Brazil in CS.
Yeah.
But it's impossible,
But
man.
yeah,
It's been
yeah,
from when there was no Brazilian CS to like
yeah, it's really
rebuilding
it's
it.
really impossible to surpass him. But I
Yeah.
think people do take this really serious whenever they see a
It's an
Brazil.
emotional thing with you
Yeah,
Brazilian
it's a
people.
really because Brazilians are really passionate about their teams in
Yeah.
CS. And it's a good thing. But I do feel like some people think that okay, who is this new Brazilian team who's trying to take the spotlight of Fallen? Because he was the guy who won us the major. He was the guy who brought us joy, happiness,
Yeah.
and I feel like maybe people thinks like this. And the thing for me is I have nothing but respect for Fallen, and as I said, I don't think no one will ever do what he did for Brazil.
Yeah.
But it's a natural process of new people starting to grow up, new people are trying to show up, and new players are eventually going to take his spot from the best opera of Brazil, the new Brazil major champion, hopefully. So yeah, I do feel like
See, I have to ask you this now because we asked him on the desk. We said, "Are you the best Brazilian AWPer now?" He said yes, which is on paper you are the best Brazilian AWPer because Fallen doesn't AWP anyway.
yeah,
You were better than him when he was AWPing. If we look at it statistically from the gameplay
Yeah.
side of things, right? And there's my wife just appearing on the back of the camera. She's trying to like ninja close the drawer. We can't see the drawers open, but thanks, baby. But like, we asked you this question. Did you
Yeah.
get hate for that answer?
Yeah, a lot.
What? No, I'm so sorry.
No. Oh, but you mean by this one?
Yeah, by saying that because we asked
No,
you.
I actually didn't.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Have no hate from this, but whenever people start this discussion on Twitter, there's always hate. Whenever people say no, it's safe.
Yeah.
No, it's MQZ. Whenever people don't say Fallen, there's a lot of people who get hurt by this comment.
Okay, so I'll put it there because I can say what the fuck I want. For all the Brazilian fans out there, Fallen passed the torch on the AWP already to a Kazakhstani AWPer. Let's start with that.
Yeah,
He is the greatest of all time when it comes for Brazilian Counter-Strike.
yeah,
No one's taking that away from him. And even if a player from Brazil won 5 majors, they won't take it from him because it's all the other things he's done for the scene.
yeah.
But you have to let go. You need to wake the fuck up and accept that there are players who will now be better, who will put up better score lines, who will do better damage in the server. And if you don't support them, you will only hurt your old scene. So you need to support players like him. Otherwise, you're dumb as fuck because you'll be in an endless situation of hatred that doesn't make any sense. It's not good for your players. It's not good for your country. And if you really care about your country, you can cheer for one player or one team more, but then you still need to give the same love and same support of it. You can't be that die hard. Like I'm a big Navi fan, but then if they play against, I don't know, who else has got Passion, who's got other Ukrainian players on, I'm not going to start going, oh, this is the fake Ukrainian team or some shoot. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, the point for me is you don't have to hate a team to cheer for the
No.
other one, but I do think I do respect all of the things that Fallen did. But me as a player and as a competitor, I obviously want to surpass him in terms of titles, of accolades, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And that's what
Every great
competition
player wants to.
is all about.
Yeah.
But it's a thing that I don't really care too much because, as I said in some interview, I don't really bother being seen as the best Brazilian opera. I just want to reach my goals and be recognized as a good opera. For me, that's enough.
What's your goals then? Tell us your goals.
Oh, my goals. The most cliche one is to win a major, but I do want inside of me to become the next best Brazilian opera after Fallen because I do think that I have the capability, and I do think Brazil needs to have a new generation of players that they are going to inspire themselves in. They're,
The next
this is
generation.
happening with Keisarado and Yuri
Yeah.
and with other players also. But as time passes, Keisarado and Yuri are not as young as they used to be.
No.
and I do want to be inspiration for the new generation of CS because it's gonna be really cool and have this feeling because
And you need this because that's what's also like, if you don't have a generation that's inspired by young players
yeah
like you, like Bigu, even like Snow, who's young himself, right?
yeah
How do we see the next young players come up? We need that. There always needs to be a generational swap between it, right?
yeah
When I was playing football, it was your David Beckhams. Now it's your Ronaldos and your Messis, you
Harry
know?
Kane.
Like, shut the fuck up. Respect him, but he ain't inspiring anyone. It's not, it's not, we can't put this on the same level.
See,
Don't even shake your
just to
head.
take your own advice. So
Don't even
share.
shake.
You don't need to hate on people just because the new
I'm not hating
generation
on him. I'm
comes
just
up.
saying, is there a bunch of people going, I'm inspired by Harry Kane?
Of course, man. England cap, man.
You see this very
It's
small.
Spurs player.
I just mentioned David Beckham, Ronaldo, and Messi, right? I
I'm
didn't
a
even try to
Spurs
say
fan, by
Rooney,
the
who's a
way.
Man
That's
United
why.
player,
That's why
and
we're having
yeah,
this banter.
he's a Tottenham fan.
Tottenham fan.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, exactly. Look,
I used to like a lot of Gareth Bale. I
Yeah.
know he's not from
okay.
England,
Exactly.
but he used to play in Tottenham.
Yep.
Saka is also
Right
good.
now we have
Do
Richarlison.
you have a football team you support?
Yeah, but I'm not into football that
No.
much.
Who do you support?
Cruzeiro. It's a blue team, circle logo.
Okay.
I
Do you
think
know that one, Devil? Your
I've
knowledge is
heard
way
of
better than
them,
mine.
but I'll be honest. I have no clue about Brazilian football.
Yeah, I don't even know who plays in my team of tennis. So.
You're too focused on the Counter Strike, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
Which is definitely a good thing. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Okay, so you got your goals. We know what you want to do.
yeah,
Before we got some questions coming from fans for
yeah.
you.
Perfect.
Is there anything you want to say to all the people watching, all the fans of you, all the fans of Brazilian Counter
Say
Strike?
in Brazilian if you or
Oh,
Portuguese. I mean,
You can say it Portuguese. Yeah.
ok. Oh, let me think. Galera, queria agradecer a todo mundo que tá assistindo. Não sei se vai ter muita gente assistindo pelo podcast do Banks. You're not understanding a single shit, right?
You're gonna have to translate afterwards, man.
Não sei se vai ter muita gente assistindo, mas tá sendo muito da hora bater esse papo aqui com ele, com o Devil Walk. E, como eu disse, sou muito fã do pessoal, não só da Fúria, mas principalmente do Fallen e de tudo que ele fez. E eu não acho que o fato de novos jogadores e a nova geração tá vindo anula nada do que ele fez. Muito pelo contrário. Só respeito, eu não acho que ninguém nunca vai passar o que ele fez pela comunidade como um todo. Mas que a gente também consiga apoiar os novos jogadores e entender que a gente tá passando por um processo que a gente realmente não é mais os cachorros grandes, mas a gente tá lutando para voltar para esse lugar. E se Deus quiser chegar num ponto que a gente dê muito orgulho para vocês, igual a geração Fallen, Code, Fênix, Fer, Taco, toda essa galera deu. E é isso. Simbora começar com a conversinha, né? Yeah, I'm
Good.
ready.
By the way, it can't be an episode of the podcast without my diabetic alarm going off in the background as well. Okay, give us a translation. What did you just say?
I
like, by the way, how when he said it in Portuguese, Devil Walkie. Like, I'm gonna start calling you that.
Yeah, because in Portuguese it's Devil Walk.
Ah, okay.
We have this accent of
Yeah,
Brazilian.
I like it.
Like in English we call it Banks, right?
Yeah.
In Portuguese it's like Banks.
Mm. You know what? Liminha and BT call me. They're always Banksy, like the whole time. Whenever they switch into Portuguese and they're talking to the audience, it's Banksy.
Yeah, I just told them really thank you for supporting us and also that stuff from Fallen. I think no one will ever surpass him for what he did from Brazil. But it's a natural process of new people coming in, and it's gonna be way better for the whole community that we are supportive with all these players and do not throw hate at them. You don't have to hate someone just because you love Fallen and all this stuff. And yeah, we know that we are not in the spot that the people that used to cheer for Fallen used to be uh, watching because they won a lot of stuff in that years, and now we are a long time without any tournament, but we are working a lot to get in that spot again. And yeah, just be patient. We'll get there someday, and It's unfortunately may not be with Fallen, uh, but we will get there. At some point, we'll get there.
Gotta have that belief, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're only
All right.
20. It's unbelievable. You're gonna
Yeah,
have a long
you got a long way
career.
to go.
You have a long time for you to achieve
Bro,
these things.
he's already been doing it for 6 years since his
Yeah,
first
that's
professional
crazy.
team. That's what's crazy already. All right, let's start with the viewer questions. I'll ask the first one. So this comes from Gaia. He says, I noticed you don't play pugs very often. Is this because you don't feel they are necessary and prefer to just scrim with your team? Or is it something specific about the NA and Brazilian scene, given that most pro players in Europe play pugs frequently?
I actually prefer to play deathmatch or just watch POVs or demos because whenever I play Face It, for example, in Brazil it's impossible to play because people it's just run and gun. You don't learn anything, you don't get to train anything. You just for me it's a loss of time.
But you guys don't have Face It in Brazil, right?
Yeah, we do have.
But most people play the other thing, Gamers Club, right?
Actually not.
Oh, really?
Most people are actually playing Face It, but as I said, it's mostly running gun. So I prefer.
But do you have like FPL in North America? But that's
Yeah,
also bad.
yeah, we have FPL in Brazil, but it's the level is better, but still,
Still run and gun.
For me, it's still running gun. And
how is it still run and gun at level 10?
yeah, the thing is for me, I never played in NA, but in Europe, I like to play Face It. But
Yeah.
recently, I was getting too much stress out of playing Face It. I just wanted to play like workshop maps or death match that I could chill, listen to some music, and not get stressed with the game.
Yeah.
Because since we practice like 7 maps a day, I was not into playing one more map and having to process all that stuff and thinking and having to stress my head. So
Yeah,
it's working for you, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be good. I mean, I think like when you're playing like these FPLs and stuff, it's kind of like if you play a lot, you kind of increase your individual skill, but you develop really bad habits, like really bad habits when you're playing that stuff. As a coach, it's like it's one of these things like it's dangerous for players to play too much. Then I think it's almost better to play with friends or something, chill Face It or something than FPL because it's this. It becomes a very puggy run and gun kind of style.
You said chill Face It. It's never chill Face It with me. There's no such thing as chill Face It.
No, but it's because you can tilt, like Banks can tilt after like 3 rounds, full quiet. He's just like.
Hey, I stream all my games, and everyone sees the visible tilt. It's I.
No, the CS2 is tilting.
see.
It is.
Yeah.
All right,
Devil, you ask the next question.
So our regular Scourger says, congratulations on making the quarterfinals with Furia and Pain, the top 2 Brazilian cores, both going international and finding recent success. Do you believe other Brazilian-based core teams will follow this pattern? Has the traditional Brazilian high contract buyout structure forced this decision? Or is it something else currently preventing 5-man Brazilian national teams from succeeding?
Yeah, I do feel like maybe some other teams will follow this pattern because it's absolutely related to the buyout stuff because finding options outside of Brazil is being the better option because you cannot buy like one player without spending $500,000 or something near that. So it's absolutely crazy. And you can see, like, for example, a lot of organizations are heading out of the Brazilian scene because you can build a team that is actually competitive without spending tons of money. So yeah, I think I don't know if a lot of Brazilian teams, but I think more than us and Furia, a lot of more teams will follow this pattern because it's the way that it's working, and you can have also good options as you should have in Brazil outside of Brazil. So yeah,
I expected that answer. That makes most sense.
Yep.
This one's a fun one. This is just from the same guy, Scorger. He says, Can you remember the only other major with more than 5 Brazilian players in the quarterfinals?
Yeah, it was Krakow, PGL.
Doesn't forget it.
Yeah.
Which two teams was it?
I'm Immortals and SK.
Yes.
And this was the
That was the
sad
craziest.
finals for Immortals.
Bro,
Yeah,
I'll tell you something
the
after we
Dojanade.
finish the podcast and I'll explain to you everything that happened at Krakow. I will tell you. I will give you some insight. That was a fun one to watch.
All
All
right.
right, next one's you, DW.
Yeah. From Risen, Brazil seems to have a lot of rifling talent, but in terms of AWPing talent, it's basically only you. Why do you think that is?
I'll say this. He said basically only you. That's a little bit disrespectful to some of the other
Is that a
offers.
compliment or
It's like an insult to the Brazilian scene, but basically only you. Like you, okay, you're de facto. I think you might not fully know the other Brazilian offers.
Yeah. Yeah, we are actually in a point that we are lacking Brazilian operas, but I don't think that we lack talent.
Yeah.
Actually,
Mhm.
we lack. For me, Brazil is in a point that we don't have any land tournaments, and the good operas that I know from Brazil can't actually show up for bigger Brazilian teams. So we are with good Brazilian operas right now. I do feel like Safe is really good. I do feel like Try is not Brazilian, but for me, he's really, really good. But
He speaks good Portuguese, though, right?
Try speaks better Portuguese than me, if you doubt it. So we have Sedzim also, and a
Yeah.
lot of other good operas. But I feel like the Brazilian scene is kind of screwing this up because we are not having that amount of tournaments that people can actually show up. I remember when I was playing there in Brazil, we had a ton of tournaments. So I used to play a lot of tournaments, and the bigger teams like 9Z saw me playing.
Yep.
But right now is a really tough moment. So we do have talents, but I think they are struggling to appear.
Yeah.
We need more opportunity to show
Yeah.
it. All right. The next one from Jaffa Casts. How did you handle the mental stress during this season, especially with the team experience a week period, many roster changes and health issues? You kind of spoke about it already on the podcast, but if you want to go into any more detail on it, obviously you didn't
Yeah.
give up. That's the main thing.
Yeah, we didn't give up. We had this long conversation with the team, but other than that, the mental part, I hired a sports psychologist for me.
For you personally,
Yeah, for me personally.
do you have one for the team?
For the team, no, but I felt that
Oh,
I needed one, so I hired one that I worked back in the Zero
and you paid
Generation
that
thing.
yourself?
Yeah,
Oh, hats off to you, man.
and it helped me a lot because sometimes when we are experiencing these tough moments in our careers, we just need someone to talk, but
Yep.
someone that actually understands the terms and the environment that you are
Yeah.
insert on. So yeah,
Is it another Brazilian person who does this?
you mean the psychologist?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Brazilian one. He worked. I don't know if you guys know, but you know the Loud
Yes. Yeah.
organization that won the Valorant Masters.
Yeah.
He
Oh.
was their psychologist, so I know him from
That's huge,
yeah
man.
from old days, and he's a absolute beast. So he helped me a lot.
And that's great. You did that yourself.
Yeah,
I'm very impressed. Well done.
yeah, I
You're
needed it. I
20. Yeah,
needed it.
yeah, but you're 20 years old. And do you think that's actually then? I'm going to spin off my own question into this. Is that why we see you become a bit better on a server as well now? You find some consistency?
Yeah, I do think so because I did it exactly after Astana, and
Okay.
after that
Recently.
I went to Brazil and I had all the time to reset. So yeah, and I do think like the mental part in competition is one of the most important parts, if
Yeah.
not the most one, because we are exposed all the time to pressure, to
Hmm.
traveling to far places, eating food that you don't know, sleeping bad, and also all the stuff that arguing with your teammate. You have to stay every day with a person that sometimes you don't get along with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a really needed thing to be implemented on the teams.
You
Yeah.
have my respect for that, man. That's fucking
Very
big. That's
Yeah.
mature.
really big. Yeah, definitely.
I'll probably take 3 of these questions in a row. Banks, and you can do
Yeah, this
the
is from the
last
same
2. Yeah.
person. This is from what's his name?
Shadow
Shadow
Hunter Dog.
Hunter Dog. What a name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Long name.
what has been the proudest moment of your career so far?
I have to say right now,
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to the major
I was
playoffs.
thinking about that.
Nothing has to be bigger than that.
All right, let's move on to the next one. If you could steal a skill attribute from any AWPer, who would it be and what would it be and why?
Ooh.
Mm,
It's a good
anything.
question.
I can do anything from an opera.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
any time in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I have so many good operas in history. I'll stay as a fan, and I'll still device positioning in his
Oh,
prime.
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
very good one. Yeah.
yeah.
And why? It's because I remember watching his demos, and nowadays you have like Monesi, for example. He's not always, but a lot of times making some ridiculous shots that you
Yeah.
look and you see how does he do it. But I remember watching, and I used to watch a lot of devices demos, and he was like pointing, shooting,
It looks so
fall
easy.
back, pointing, shooting. So not that it was not his he didn't have credit for the shots, but it felt like he was always in a good position to take those
Yeah.
shots.
Yeah.
So for me,
He was the smart, stable author.
He was
yeah, for me,
consistent
he was
always.
always in a good position.
Always.
Yeah. And you could see from his shots that he didn't had to make crazy flicks or stuff like that. It was a shot that he was well positioned. He was in a good spot to
Hmm.
make a easy shot. So
Yeah.
for me, it was absolutely crazy to watch it.
Do you know what I always say? If you want to say, like people say they love Simple, they love Device, I say Simple is the player you should never try to be. You should
Yeah,
never try to do what he does because he feels the game and does some shit that you can't explain. Like, I don't go and show you a Simple demo and say, this was the right decision because sometimes you should not make this. But if I wanted to show you how to play perfectly, I would show
yeah,
you old Device demos and go,
yeah,
yeah, follow this way for it.
yeah. So I really wanted to spend like a week in his head
Yeah.
Yeah.
because the way he played for me was the most beautiful way to play the op.
Nice.
I
The
fully
next
agree.
ones.
Which team from the major playoff would you most want to play against?
Being honest with you, I would love to play against the Mongols
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
because all the matches that we play against them is really funny. It's really like we almost end the match without air because they play a really different style from all the other teams from the
Yeah.
playoffs. And all the matches we are always shouting during the rounds, and all in a sudden you get caught up by 5 players in the same spot. So it's really funny to play against them, and
The stressful game versus the
it's a
Mongols.
stressful game, but it's always a pleasant game because I think they deserve the respect because they came out of nowhere and they're playing a really good CS.
Yeah.
And it's always funny to play against them. So I would love to play against them.
All right. You can take the last two, or should I?
I can do it. Um, which player would you most want to play with on a team, including former teammates and those you haven't played with?
Mm, let me think. I would love to play with Lato again.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, he's a guy that he showed up great performances in this major, but for me, he was always a not talk too much guy and
Hmm.
an underrated guy because I play with him and he was absolutely crazy as a player and as a person also. So I would play with him again.
Hmm.
Nice. And then, which AWPer do you think is the most underrated? Woo.
Underrated.
This is a tough one.
Mm, This is a
Yeah.
tough one from nowadays, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
From nowadays, let me see. I'm gonna go with a weird one, not expected one, but underrated. I'll go with James.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
I will explain why. Because when we used to play against VP from James, it was so annoying to play
yeah.
Yeah.
because I felt like the whole team played on his system, and his system was whatever move you do, you're gonna be punished, and it
Hmm.
was completely annoying to play. So I missed James in the tier one, and sometimes I felt that he needed to be more aggressive, but the way that people talks about him, I don't think it's fair because he was a good player and he was really, really annoying to be against on the server.
Yeah.
I agree
He
with
was
that.
a beast when it came to MR15s.
It's one of those things where you hold an angle where you know he is for 40 seconds and he comes at the 45th and you just lost focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. He walks out like, you weren't ready for me.
Yeah. And I felt playing against them in the old VP that was that feeling that you never knew what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
No,
know?
they were really good at
And
that.
yeah, because the time was passing around, was like 20 seconds in a round, and you don't even know what they're doing,
You don't even
where
know
they
if
are.
they're going for it. You think they're saving at times.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that James really underrated.
All
This
right.
next question, Devil, from Glitch, we've really kind of gone over this. Who inspired your open style the
Yeah,
most?
it
This
was
device
Device.
was.
Device, but I
Yeah.
have one more to say.
Okay.
All right.
Safe did.
Safe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a guy that have a lot of respect, and it's a guy that helped me a lot when I was younger because he
Mhm.
was in pain and he went to Furia.
Yeah.
And I used to talk with him a lot in that time, and I watched basically all his demos. My day was basically watching Device and Safe
Wow.
because I felt like in that time, not that Safe doesn't play well today, but in that time that he was joining Furia, I think it was his prime.
Yeah.
For me, he was a guy that was pretty similar to Device. He did not do anything
He wasn't a
extraordinary, but he
crazy
played.
all of
Yeah, he played.
safe,
Uh,
consistent.
yeah,
I
he
agree.
played correct CS, and I really like people who play correct CS. So him and Device for sure.
Nice. That's good to know.
Yeah. All right. What was the most important part of your daily routine that helped you stay locked in during the major?
Actually, I did three stuffs all these days.
Mhm.
All days I did it the same. It was taking a shower in the morning, listening to music, and buying coffee. So every day I did the same stuff.
Same routine.
Yeah, same routine.
Same
I
time
like
or?
that routine.
No, not the same time. And also watching the teams that we are gonna play. But these three stuffs I did all days, the same thing, listening to same music,
Yeah.
buying my coffee, and taking a shower.
Shower, very important. We don't want smelly gamers. Definitely not. Otherwise, I must have asked you to come for interviews. All right. The last one then from the same guy says G1 itch. I said glitch. I'm just going to go with glitch. If you could build your all-time CS fantasy team, own any 5 players, any era, who would you pick?
This one is really tough, and
Yeah.
it's a game that we always play in the team. Oh, this one is really tough. I have to think about roles. Right?
Are you picking
You
yourself?
don't have to.
No, not myself.
Okay.
I'll make it all time.
All
team.
right.
So
yeah. Should I pick a role for you, and you pick one? Would that make it
yeah,
easier?
it sounds good.
Okay, let's start with an in-game leader. Who would you pick?
In-game leader. Oh, I'm sorry, Fallen, but I'll have to go with Glaive.
All right.
Glaive,
But
yeah.
Great pick.
From Astralis Prime.
Yeah. Glaive from Astralis Prime. Who would you pick as the lurker?
Lurker. Am I gonna get judged if I choose the whole Astralis Prime?
I would
for
pick
me,
Flush
it
as the
was,
lurker, 100%.
Yeah, Flush is a good one, but I haven't seen him play so much. But who is I pick as a lurker? I have to check HL TV for this one. I don't remember.
Fire some names out in DW.
Well, I would only fire old names, but I mean, Sipnix is not a bad pick at all. I think he's, obviously.
But I don't want to go full Astralis because I could go, but it's way
Robs,
obvious.
if you want to go modern.
Got a good one. I'll go with Robs. Glaive Robs.
Glaive Robs. That's a great one. who would you pick as your entry fragger?
I'm gonna go Brazil with this one because from what I seen and from what I heard, Fur was a really
Ferg
tough
was
guy to play
fucking
against.
crazy, man. He was
So
absolutely
I'll go with
nuts.
Fur because I really love the way he played, and from what people told me, he was a complete menace inside the server. So
He
I'll go
was,
with Fur.
for sure. That's also a really, really good pick. AWPer then. Who would you pick?
Speaking all time. I'm a huge fan of Device, but for me, there's no all-time team without Zywoo, so I have to go with Zywoo because
Oh,
this guy
Zywoo
is
over
insane.
Simple.
yeah. I'll go with Zywoo because Simple is insane. Also, his peak was completely insane. But for me, Zywoo, the way he plays the game is everything that you see on his POV. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's different from the thing that you said. Simple always know, but sometimes he used to do things that are not exactly right,
Yeah.
but it
worked
went
for him.
good for him because it's simple.
Yeah.
So in my dream team, I'll have Zywoo.
Okay.
Okay,
one more.
so we have Zywoo, Rops, Glaive,
Glaive.
Fur, and now we need some kind of support player, anchor-ish player.
Anchor.
Mm.
My anchor would be Bit.
Bit?
As in
Bit.
Navi bit?
Navi Bit.
Uh-huh.
But the Stockholm one, you know?
Yeah, headshot machine
he was
version.
insane that event.
Yeah, because in Stockholm, what he was playing was out of this world.
Yeah.
He wasn't losing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more of a modern era because I haven't watched too much of the old CS.
But that's a good
That's
choice.
a very
real
good team.
choice.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good team. I
like
I
that.
respect the
All right.
choices.
Without thinking about the language
Yeah,
stuff.
no,
Yeah,
that doesn't
no,
matter.
that's-
Language doesn't
they-
matter.
they
Let's
all-
suppose everyone speaks
they all
Portuguese in this
talk
team.
Counter-Strike in this
Let's go. Yeah.
All right, so that's the end of our viewer questions. I got one final question for you. You got a lot of ink on you. When did you get your first tattoo?
My first tattoo, I think it was when I was 16.
What's the legal age in Brazil for tattoos?
It's, I think with your parents, you can do at any age.
Really?
Yeah.
Any age?
No, I don't know if. No, I don't think any age. I don't think any age.
3-year-olds going for tattoos.
No. Of course, the tattoo will not do. I think from 14.
14 up.
Yeah, 14 up, you can do it. I did with mine with 16. This was this one right here.
Little there.
Yeah,
What is
because it's a family tattoo.
You gotta show it into the camera. But
Yeah, let me show it. Is it
this one.
this one?
Oh.
Family tattoo. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we have. I don't know what it's called in English. It's like triquetra.
It's like a
It's
crest.
a symbol.
Trifecta.
No, it's not trifecta. It's in Portuguese you call triquetra, but I don't know in English. But we have like 3 feathers here, and one is me, one is my mom, and one is my brother. So
okay.
Nice.
we did it together.
Oh, you all got it as well. You all have the tattoo.
Yeah, we all have the same tattoo at the same spot.
Okay, nice.
And since then, whenever I did this one, I never stopped. So.
Yeah. And you've just been crazy with it.
Yeah.
He's got one on his legs, his arms, his neck.
Yeah, I have a lot of
Everywhere.
ones. I have a lot.
You got any more planned?
I actually wanted to end this arm. I wanted to cover this and let this one.
Did your mom approve of the tattoos?
No, she hates. She hates it.
Wait. She didn't approve, but she's got one of the family tattoo.
Yeah, a little small one, but whenever I got like this one, this seals right here, I show her. He was like,
she's not happy.
Why? Why did you do this?
So
that's
if
mom's for you.
Pain wins the major, will NQC do a major tattoo?
Ooh.
Oh yeah. I have talked this with Snow once, and I was like, Snow, if you win the major, would you?
He's got none.
Tattoo the trophy, and he was like, of course. And for me, it's a thing that of course.
Yeah.
I don't care why, where, and I don't care the size. Maybe I care too much because I don't need to have a massive trophy
on me.
But I would do the trophy.
Are you married? No.
No, I just I have a girlfriend, but I'm not married still.
dude, imagine like you get a new girlfriend or something and you're sat there and she's like, I gotta look at this fucking trophy every time. He's like, you're about to go do the business and he's just showing his major trophy.
If I tell my girlfriend I'm gonna tattoo a fucking trophy on my back, she might broke up with me.
Yeah, that might be the end.
Yeah,
that might be the end.
but I for sure I would do it.
Well, NQZ, thank you so much for coming, man, and talking the shit with us.
My pleasure.
You're a beast.
It was a pleasure.
I wish you the best of luck.
All my pleasure, bro.
I am now a huge NQZ fan. Getting to know you, hearing you speak, you're super mature for your age. I cannot
definitely,
thank you.
Think that it will be any other thing than you having a very long career ahead of you. With keeping that mentality and keep performing at the major, I'll be cheering you on. And thank you so much for coming on and talking to us.
My pleasure, bro. It was really nice seeing you on the documentary, and I'll see you live is way better.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. The end of episode 17. All about NQZ with a bit of all about Counter-Strike mixed in together. The major starting real soon. We'll be seeing what all the teams can do and who will be lifting that trophy. And maybe NQZ needs to get that trophy tattooed on him at the end of it. And Snow gets his first Warriors tattoo as well. We'll wait and see. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, comment. We're always hitting you guys up. We'll see you on the next episode.